See, that's how quickly it falls out of my brain. I don't even think I asked. I didn't clarify.
You said I'll start.
I just said I'll start, but then I was like, but wait a minute, is it a starter or is it coming back? Because you never know.
Yeah.
But I guess I should have taken when I said, do you want me to start? And you're like, yeah. I should have, we're starting.
Yeah,
but that can sometimes mean we're coming back.
Yeah.
Which is bad. It's bad. I'm bad at this. I'm really bad at it. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody.
It's been a while that we're doing this. And
you would think I would know, but I don't.
Yeah. Well,
every day is new for me.
There comes a time where you start getting worse.
Oh, I've been in that time for a minute.
No, I think you got better, and then there's a plateau period, and then it's like
okay, up and down.
Yeah, it's like a life. You grow.
Yes.
You stay about the same in your middle years or whatever, and then it's a real. I think sometimes it rockets
into the grave.
Yeah. Or I think there's different plateaus. I was reading some article about aging, and then you hit like aging plateaus, and then all of a sudden like you significantly feel worse all of a sudden over like 1 year period. And then you just stay at that plateau for a while.
It's lights out.
No. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. I promise you I'll be better. I promise you.
Yeah.
I'll ask next time. I'll clarify. I'll never let that happen again, which is not true. It'll definitely happen again. It'll definitely happen again. But hey, welcome to the show. We're live on Twitch and also on YouTube. And if you like watching podcasts, our buddy Eric is doing a really nice job of kind of cutting out all the fluff. So if you don't have limited time, and I know most people do, you can go to YouTube and just search @TomandDan Live and watch the entire show.
So Pete Rose died, and so let's talk Pete Rose.
Yeah, you want to hear some stats on Pete Rose?
Yeah, obviously a Hall of Fame eligible baseball player that never can make the Hall of Fame because of the gambling.
He's a Calvin Ridley. MLB's all-time hit leader with 4,256 hits, 17-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, MVP in 1973. I mean, pretty damn good.
So the gambling thing is complicated because on the surface,
it doesn't seem to be complicated for any of the franchises.
Well, they just have rules, and it's they're dead set. Like if you gamble, you will be suspended.
No, I know. But what happened to the dead set rule of no gambling involved in sports at all? You see what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna move the mega fence post, which is, hey, we don't want this in here at all, and now, hey, guess what? Well, there's no way out now.
Well, yeah, because the companies benefit off the advertising.
Yeah.
Because gambling is now legal in a lot of states, and it's federally legal. So a lot of things have changed. Back when Pete Rose was gambling, I imagined that it was some sort of bookie, and that kind of thing, which is the same. It's just there's, obviously a different process.
Well, I think his problem is he denied it for so long, right? Like he'd said he'd never admitted it up until 2004.
Yeah.
And that's the stinky part. Had it just been like, yeah, I was doing it, everybody does it, no big, more like that, maybe more people would, when you start looking like a liar, people don't like that.
No,
and then people are like, you were
didn't
dishonest. Yeah, it doesn't help at all. And then people are like, you were dishonest. I mean, MLB right now has significant partnerships with DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, Caesars, all of them, to the tune of almost $300 million.
Yeah. And so the problem, and it's interesting because the more they're in business with gambling and the gambling companies, the more they can't let the players gamble,
right? Because
then the actual okay.
I do like him saying he never bet against his team. I do like that. That's a gentleman. That's what a real
that's where it
baseball
becomes
badass would do it.
Immoral, because think about it. That's why everybody's like, oh, this is no big deal. If you bet on yourself, that's essentially what you're doing anyway as a player.
Sure.
But if you bet against yourself, then that's where
it's easier to do that. It's way easier to bet against yourself. Oh, I don't want to play.
Well, yeah, because
diarrhea.
Then it becomes hey, did you play? Like, did you specifically throw the game to win the money?
It your all.
Now, which is stupid because if you know how gambling works, there's no way a professional athlete could possibly make money betting against themselves with the amount of money they make themselves. You can't bet that much.
Sure.
The system and the gambling system set up where not one player you can't bet $1 million on a game without being fully vetted
we all
by
know
a casino. But there's limits.
I wonder how much, if you could add it up, how much money was actually in play over the years that Pete possibly was gambling. He obviously was gambling. I wonder how much was in play. How much are we talking?
Well, based on his salary, not that much. Because and maybe some bookies, because they knew he was rich, were willing to take bets from him. But it definitely was more of less of a money revenue generator and more of a just probably excitement for him and something that he thought he can get away with. Obviously now.
The second part of my argument would be like the lying is another reason why people don't want to put him in the Hall of Fame. And the other is, let me ask you this. Do you think it would have been different had he just been a player and not been a manager? Because I feel like with the manager hat comes with, like, it's almost like you're taking the ultimate adult hat and putting it on. Like, that's the last guy you expect to do it, right?
Well, was he betting as a manager?
As a manager.
Okay, yeah. So
I think that heightens it a bit.
If you're betting on yourself, then there's no possible immoral activity going on.
He claims he never bet against his team.
Yeah, because that's the only problem. Like, if you're betting on, that's what everybody looks at and like, who cares if you bet on yourself? That's what these players are doing anyway. Your motivation is to win.
I'm trying to think of a fun. Like, it would be fun if they allowed you to bet on yourself and openly share it. Like, imagine if I'm trying to think of, let's say somebody sort of cocky.
Every player would.
Let's say Joe Burrows could walk up. He's got his M&M hair, which, by the way, I don't think he should have done. That's bad luck. And I know you don't believe in that, but he should have never done that. Yeah. Too much attention. You should have a regular haircut, tuck in and blend in, and don't let people know how good you are, right?
Yeah.
But for this, what if he were able to go, hey, we're on our way back. I'm feeling it. I put $10K on myself next game, or more than that.
Yeah, I mean,
what if players could get sponsored by companies to bet on themselves, and that way we could see the bet?
That would make it more fun, and but they're walking a really thin line here because. The actual it even goes further than this. Okay, so imagine like all this as a stocks and inside information, right?
Yeah. Well, that's
similar. So the the sports betting market is like a stock, and I've thought about this for years. If you could somehow get inside information, and some of these huge betting syndicates have lots and lots of people internally and lots of runners for them. They can put down a lot of money on one particular game. Like, obviously, you can do it. One single person can't put $1 million, but you could put $1 million through 50 to 100 people, right? Like, and if they all have big accounts, you can get down a lot of money, right?
Get down.
And imagine, and if you had inside information from one of these teams, and this is why the gambling companies don't want any of the sports players or anything to be involved with gambling a lot, because they're worried about this. Because if someone
seems to be just like hovering there, right?
If you were in the Chiefs locker room internally and you found out Mahomes is suffering some sort of injury, right, that no one knows about, that inside information, you're like, man, it's going to hinder him in this next game tremendously. No one knows. If you sold that to a giant betting syndicate, that information could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Like, and then those companies, DraftKings, FanDuel, they could be out $1 million because of this information.
And that's sort of what the chat room's saying. Go surfing,
which is not illegal, by the way, yet.
Right. Go surfing instead is saying, which is what happened to Charlie Hustle, aka Pete Rose. He had mob goons he was feeding the information to. Yeah.
So then,
that is the reason.
So then, like, you have.
It's almost like they got to keep it right at this level, and this is where it has to stay.
It's going to be hard because the inside information is going to eventually leak, and as these companies get bigger and bigger,
it already is. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. So the gambling companies don't want to, because they're out millions by having this information leak out, and it's not illegal. Not like, if you're Martha Stewart and you know about some companies, and then you take your money out and then or invest your money, you're like, you go to jail.
Yeah, you cannot do that.
She was in federal prison.
That was a real deal. That was the real deal.
And that's why they made that insider trading such illegal, and they don't play around with it.
Can we jump back to Pete for a second?
Yeah.
Like, let's jump back to just dumb old man for a second.
Yeah.
Can we put old bowl haircut in there? Can we just put him in there? Why can't we look at this and say, like, hey, I look at where the game is now. Okay, yeah, it's all muddy, and what he did, not good, but his accomplishments are still good. And look, we're mired in betting right now. So let's just call it a wash and put him in there.
Well, if he knew at the time that being involved with gambling would eliminate you from making the Hall of Fame, I wonder, that's the information I can't find, if he knew that was a repercussion of gambling.
Oh, and whether
was
or not
it
he
ignorance?
regretted that? I'm sure there's been an interview with him where he's talked about that. He has to regret doing that, right?
Well, back in the, but
it's not that important to him. I mean, the idea of him loving betting more than baseball doesn't even compute to me.
No, he just thought he can get away with it.
I think so too.
I mean, that's most things, right? You do something not worrying about the repercussions because you think you're going to get away with it, right? But if that was a rule in the 70s and that was like, hey, if you are involved in gambling, you will not be eligible for the Hall of Fame. If he knew that information and still did it, then it is what it is, right? You broke the rules. You knew the penalty for it, and and then that's it. And then so any argument after is kind of null and void, right? Because you knew that this was a risk.
Yeah,
you took it, and then now you're out of the Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm definitely that guy. I mean, I've been that way, and that's how I raised Maisie. I'm like, if you knew the repercussions, and you knew the statement, and you knew that what you were risking was on the line, and you still powered through with it, well, I'm sorry. There's not much we can do there.
Calvin Ridley, Jameson Williams from the Lions.
Yeah.
Like, you are betting $1,400, you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
This is just stupidity. You knew that this is against the rules, and if you get caught, that you will be penalized, and then so that's the penalty. So it's like you're doing something that is against the rules for no benefit for yourself. It's stupid.
Here's another quote from MLB.com. While Rose has expressed a regret for how his actions have affected his chances for reinstatement and entry into the Hall of Fame, he has also maintained that his gambling did not affect the integrity of the games he was involved in. His regret seems to be more from the consequences of the ban and its impact on his legacy rather than a deep remorse for the act of gambling itself. So it seems that across the board and over the years, even leading up to this, even though like I'm sitting there asking the question, should he be allowed in? Most people kind of feel like he never really was sad that he was only sad he got caught doing it.
Yeah, because he's probably like, well, this is stupid.
Which is also kind of cool. It's kind of cool to stick to your guns like that.
Because again, the logic of it, you're like, this didn't affect anything. This didn't affect the integrity of the game. This is just some stupid thing in my personal life that I did, and but. It's like Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds, like them taking performance-enhancing drugs that were banned, by the MLB. That is more of an advantage. Like Pete Rose didn't do anything, apparently, unless he bet against himself. If
what he says is true.
Yeah, if what he says is true, didn't do anything that affected the game at all, right? But Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire did, because you could argue that giving themselves testosterone or steroids drastically affected their performance, which basically, gave them stats that they didn't deserve, right?
Yeah, I would agree with it.
More than Pete Rose.
Hey, who's this? What do you want to say?
Hey, this is Dan. The anesthesia guy.
Right. What's going on, Dan? Hey, what's up, buddy? How are you?
What's up, man? We've been missing each other, but
this guy is a Weird Job Wednesday that's been trying to snipe in. So now we have Weird Job on top of Weird Job. I just had a feeling we needed to answer this phone call. Okay. I apologize, Tom. We interrupted Pete. We were talking about Pete Rose and whether or not he should have been instated into the Hall of Fame, the MLB Hall of Fame. He is now deceased, so it will never happen. I guess they could do it
They could do it after.
Yeah. What do they call that? Posthumously or like?
Well,
I think I garbaged
right.
I garbaged that.
No. Well, at this point, it's only important to him. But all right,
maybe
sir,
to his family.
Stay on hold for a second. We'll be back, and we'll talk.
Yeah,
to you.
Cool.
just hold on, okay?
All right.
All right.
We will take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Corporate Time. Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
Let's do some Weird Job Wednesday.
I want to go back to this Weird Job song that I had. I haven't played it that many times. I think I've only played it like twice, and it's so funny and dumb. Hold on. I got to find it here. It's on my desktop, so give me a second. I'm not prepared.
Oh, that's fine.
No, not that one. Not that one. Yep, this is the one.
Fat slobs, working jobs, big fat slobs, working the jobs, slobs with jobs, slobby jobs, summer blocks with jobs, disguised as slobs. Fat slobs, working jobs, big fat slobs, working the jobs, slobs with jobs, slobby jobs, summer blocks with jobs, disguised as slobs. Summer blocks with jobs, disguised as slobs.
Some are blobs with jobs disguised as slobs, Tom.
Weird Job Wednesday brought to you by Jeff's Bagel Run.
Yes.
Use hashtag TDBagel when you stop by Jeff's for a bagel, some coffee. They've got a bunch of delicious spreads.
Need an idea?
Yeah.
Asiago with the hot sauce cream cheese made with Jason's mom's hot sauce.
All right.
Absolutely delicious. If you don't want savory, if you'd like to go sweet, I would suggest maybe you go blueberry with a cinnamon sugar spread.
8 Central Florida locations, and they're growing super fast.
Yeah. And if you like super fluffy or pillowy, as Maisie calls them, bagels, you got to try Jeff's. And don't sleep on the raspberry lemonade.
All right, on the line with us right now, we've got Sandman Dan. How you doing, Dan?
Doing great.
So, Dan, what is your weird job?
I do anesthesia on people.
All right.
Yes.
So you are an anesthesiologist.
So
I hope you're not. I hope you're just like I dabble.
No, you're not
I'm good enough.
Are you the
Ladies of the night?
Yeah. Are you the anesthesiologist known as the Castleberry Zipper Monster?
I am not that guy.
Okay.
I'm actually an anesthesiologist assistant, which is a PA, a physician assistant for an anesthesiologist. But I do the anesthesia.
Okay.
It's like a CRNA. If you know what a CRNA is, I'm the PA version of that.
So with physician assistants, it seems like you are everything a doctor is, except for the doctor makes like 80 grand more.
Probably double.
Okay, so they make like 150 grand more. So why don't you become the full doctor?
Oh man, this gig is the best gig to have because we get to do the fun anesthesia stuff, and when we've done with the patients, we never see them again.
Okay, I like that. So, all right.
I kind of like the way he says it, too. The excitement in your voice as you said that.
All right, so let's go. What type of anesthesia do you do, or do you do them all?
It's pretty much all of them.
Okay.
So if you're going to go for your colon, you go to sleep for that. If you get your knee done, anything, you go fully asleep. All of them.
All right, so there's always been a big confusion about general anesthesia and like Twilight. And so a lot of people...
Twilight's the good stuff, though, right?
No. Well, Twilight...
They're all good.
Okay, I like this guy's positivity.
Like, when you get your wisdom teeth taken out, for the most part, you get put in Twilight, which is not a general anesthesia. You are not completely unconscious. And I think when you go under general anesthesia, you have to get like a tube down your throat and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's different levels of it, but just for simplicity's sake, correct. Like, you'll be fully out. You won't know what's going on. You usually have some kind of breathing device. It can be a tube that goes into your lungs, or it can be a tube. It's sort of like this thing that fits in your mouth. That goes down and it helps you breathe into your lungs, but it's not directly into your lungs. But both considered general anesthesia.
Can I get
and
one
there's
of those?
gas involved.
Can I get one of those things to breathe like when I'm just chilling in the bed?
Chilling in the bed.
You know, like I'm watching football and I just want to breathe easier. Can I put like a tube in me to like just take some heat off my body a little bit? You know what I mean?
I think you start gagging.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you would gag on
Okay,
it. Well,
bad idea.
It depends on your reflex.
Gotcha.
So, Dan, with the...
This guy sounds like a clown doctor, doesn't he? Sounds like this guy'd be in there goofing all around while he's trying to put me under, making all these dumb jokes.
I have a little fun sometimes.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You sound like a crazy clown.
Well, that's in the PA world, those are, they slacked off a little more in medical school.
PAs used to be my best friends, man. Back in the day.
We're not good enough to make it.
Well,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
are. Back in the day, you were good enough to write me a pain pill
There's
script, I'll tell you
some
that.
really smart ones out there.
So Dan, let's talk about what kind of education you need to become an anesthesiologist. So, what are we talking here?
Okay, so you have to have a bachelor's degree. You have to have all these prerequisites like the sciences and stuff like that. It's almost like a pre-med, like workup, your schooling.
Yeah.
And then the anesthesia school takes about 2.5 years.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so you have to have your bachelor's, and then you do your anesthesia school, and then you start doing it.
What type of people, like, at what age were you taking your anesthesiologist classes, and what type of people were with you? Everybody, or is there a distinct look?
No, that's anybody. And you can come from pretty much any background as long as it's like let me just tell you, I didn't come from medical background. I kind of started late in the game.
Okay.
So I had a bachelor's degree in business. So and then I had to go back to UCF and take all these prerequisites, these chemistries and all that other stuff, and then apply, and then go through the school.
So you were still able to use parts of your business degree and then kind of pivot towards a career in medicine. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
So, Dan, I'm curious about, let's talk about the general anesthesia and literally what you're doing. So I imagine, let's say I come in, I'm not allergic to anything, I've been under before, I'm the standard human.
Standard.
Because a lot of this education is based on anomalies, like people that are allergic to anesthesia, or somehow have some sort of underlying thing that could code them when they're under risk.
Correct.
But for the standard that I've been under before, I'm your Joe average, right? So you get
Joe average.
Yeah, and I do everything I fast the night before, and you get my weight. And then all you're doing is basically there's probably a calculation between how much medicine or general anesthesia you're giving me based on my weight, and then you just put it into my IV, and then you just monitor what now after I go unconscious?
All right, after you go unconscious, we'll put a tube in your throat, or not, or that other thing that fits in your mouth, and then we turn the gas on, so the gas is going to keep you asleep. And then we monitor your heart, blood pressure, and oxygen saturation for the whole however long the thing needs to be done.
So
then when it's too close to done, we turn it all off, and you start waking up.
So you're just monitoring my vitals, but what about the risk of me waking up during the procedure? Because I'm sure that could be.
Bigger people do that sometimes, right?
That is a fear for many people. But you're not going to wake up. We got a lot of stuff that we measure that we can see that you're awake or not, and you're not going to wake up. Plus, if you were in there, I'll give you ketamine.
Wait a minute. So are you?
You give me the Perry?
Hold on. You'll give it.
I'll give you the full Monty.
Well, hold on. The full Monty means you'll pull your pants down or something, right? I think that's what that means.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
Okay. I figured you were the Castleberry zipper monster. I knew that.
Hold
was
on.
you.
What's the ketamine for?
All right, ketamine, it's just for fun. Well, no.
This guy isn't an anesthesiologist. He's a clown.
It adds to the anesthesia, and there's some pain alleviation effects to it too. It doesn't affect your breathing. It actually helps breathing.
The whole chat room turned on him now. They think he's fake.
Example.
They think he's too fake.
Example.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. So we do these other things called like heart caps with old people or young people. Could be anybody.
Yeah.
But they come in and it's a twilight version. So it's Versed, fentanyl, and ketamine if you feel like you want to add a little something. So I gave there was this old man that went in there, 80 years old, lays down on the table. He's breathing on his own. It's just a twilight, a little bit of medicine to make him comfortable. And I remember he was really cool. I said, I'm going to give you certain stuff and keep you comfortable. You'll be awake, but like not really awake, sometimes sleepy. And then he was quiet the whole procedure. Then he was done with the procedure. He's never done drugs before and anything. He said, I've never done drugs in my whole life, but I can understand why people do.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh, Jesus.
You just set him on a new path.
You
changed that old man's life. You changed that old man's life.
In the corner.
I've had a couple surgeries, and that Versed is the best feeling. That's when I stop fearing death, and I'll explain. Is that I'm like, if I'm on my deathbed and someone gives me that Versed, which I imagine they do when you're on your deathbed and like a cocktail over things, you do not care what happens to you after. No anxiety. You are.
It's impossible.
You feel the best you ever have, and it's like people think it's like the stuff that puts you unconscious is this stuff that calms you down before you go unconscious.
Yeah.
Unconscious is nothing. You want to be conscious and not care about the what's happening, and that's what Versed is. Can you
That's correct.
Can you explain what Versed actually is?
Versed is anxiolytic. Sorry, it takes away the anxiousness of you. It's sort of like it's like Valium, but stronger.
I need this in like a little spray bottle where I can just like a Banaka under my tongue. But just I'm talking a micro dose.
What and explain what propofol is that like Michael Jackson was taking.
All right, so Michael Jackson didn't take propofol. So propofol is like this white drug that you put it in, but there's no reversal for it. So that's why you need an anesthesia professional, which they say I am, to give that because there's no reversal for it. Like Versed said, there's a reversal for it. Like you can give a drug, Rumazicon, to reverse the effects of Versed. So if someone's gotten too much, they can stop it. Just like fentanyl, the reverse is Narcan.
Gotcha.
If they have too much, you can give that. But propofol, there is no reversal. The reversal is someone has to open your airway, give you a jaw thrust, put some more oxygen on you, and stuff. So if Michael Jackson had a anesthesia professional there, all they needed to do pretty much was to lift his chin up a bit.
And give him some
so
air.
So he could breathe.
Yeah.
So
because it'll put you out regardless. You will stop, put you out, and you will continue breathing. You'll stop for a little bit, but if you obstruct, which a lot of people will, which means they will stop, they can't open their airway because they can't move anymore. They're like out. And so they will stop breathing. If there's someone there, they can adjust them to get them breathing more.
Is it possible to be so weak that you give the propofol and the person just or is that the purpose of you almost forcibly making them breathe? Is that what you're sort of explaining?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So you do something, you adjust their face, and if it progresses where you're adjusting something, sometimes it's big people.
Yeah.
It's harder for them to open. So then you move on to the next step. The next step is something called an LMA, something called an oral airway, and then an ET tube is the max thing to do.
So you just keep doing whatever you need to get the person breathing, basically.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So now
I don't know if this is helping people that don't like anesthesia or hurting them.
It's really safe. Anesthesia is like the safest it's ever been because there's so many drugs that we have and so much equipment, so much technology that you got a guy like me doing it.
Well, I would say
doing it pretty good for some years.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of the pain, the numbing, whatever you want to call it, whatever they use for injections, for surgeries, for all of that has come so far that I don't even feel that bad after procedures now. I remember as a kid having anesthesia one time that was so bad that I just even the next day I felt like crap. I felt like I get hit by a truck. But it's way different now. It doesn't seem to be quite as bad.
Yeah.
So,
propofol is the best.
Is it a myth that old people, there's a risk of when they go under general anesthesia, they wake up and they're never the same after, or they somehow that initiated some sort of mental cognition problem? I remember my grandfather and other old people in my life, they're like, we shouldn't do surgery because sometimes they're not the same after they go under. Is that a thing, or is that just a urban legend?
I'll bet that's happened before. I've never seen it. I've been doing it for about 10 years. It's rare, and some people feel a little different, or their family members say they act a little different, but it will be temporary. We're talking hours. Most of the time, it's within the day they're fine. But,
okay.
But most of the time, people are fine immediately.
Right.
But those rare occasions, I don't think it's forever. I've never heard of something lasting forever. They're different forever.
Nothing lasts forever.
Is there?
Nothing.
I remember Steve-O and Danny Way. They did this online thing. They're getting stem cell injections in their brain, but they tried to fight off the going under as a joke, as part of whatever. But have you ever seen anybody successfally fight it longer than you thought was possible?
It's impossible to fight it off, and everybody tries it, especially young guys. They're like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, we'll see. And they can't. You can't beat it. There is some that you have to give a lot. And more than you would expect, because one of the factors that determines that is how much weed you smoke. A lot of weed smokers, they take longer.
I was going to ask you that.
Why?
Tracy in the chat room, well, I won't say her name. Tracy in the chat room wanted to know if that is a real thing. That was the number one question. If weed smokers are heavy weed smokers, what is that? What is the thing on that?
I don't know what just because they if they do it all the time, right? So their threshold is higher. So for example, a regular person, a normal standard, you'll be a standard, but you smoke. So Tom will be a standard plus. He'd probably take 1.5 times. For example, one stick of propofol, which is 200 milligrams.
Yeah.
Will mostly put everybody to sleep, and it'll be quick. It's quicker than you think. I play this game. I was like, okay, well, why don't you start counting? And they get to 5, and they're done.
Wow.
They're gone. They're out. You can push on their chin to kind of stimulate them, and they will do nothing. And if you do that, you can put a tube. You do whatever.
Huh.
Let me ask you this question.
But Tom will take 1.5 sticks.
No, I'm a lightweight. I take 10 milligrams of THC, and I'm high as hell.
Yeah, I probably take more THC than him. I might be the plus.
Oh yeah, you'll be a plus.
So
no, the most I've had was a guy took freaking 3 sticks. It was a lot.
That is a lot.
Wait, is that
That's a lot.
Besides from weed smoke, is there some genetic factor?
Yeah, Andre the Giant?
Yeah, sometimes the person just takes a lot. I don't know. It's variable. But a lot of times the weed smokers take more.
Interesting.
That's almost always. Weed smokers take more, a little bit more.
I wonder if it's smoking weed altogether, if it has to do with ingesting weed, marijuana, or vaping it. I wonder across the board if it just means taking in weed. I don't know.
I think in my experience, it's been whether you do gummies, edibles, smoking, most of them take a little more.
Yeah.
So for years, I've always said, the whole you can't eat before surgery. I've always said, like, they're just telling you that so they don't have to deal with you puking for whatever reason, or like but
I think they phrase it as like you might choke.
Oh, you're a choke, or so don't eat.
I wouldn't phrase it as I don't want to clean up your mess. That sounds like
But
I am so happy that you brought that up.
All right.
Because that is a very big thing. People don't realize how important that is. When they say don't eat, don't freaking eat. Don't eat. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem.
Hold on.
Because
let me just go, Sandman Dan. You didn't, scan my stomach to see if I'm lying or not. You just take my word for it. I'm like, did you eat? I'm like, nope. And then you put me under. So
sometimes they don't even ask.
So
right.
It can't.
That's exactly right. That's why you don't do it.
No, but I'm saying it couldn't be that important, or
you would ask.
Or no, you would scan my stomach to see if I'm lying.
No, but sometimes they don't even ask. Sometimes they just get the business.
Yeah.
No, you should ask. They should ask.
They don't always ask because you fill out the form.
If you did eat, tell them. It's important.
What happens
how
if you
important?
don't? What's the worst
Very
thing?
important. You can die.
Who's died?
Yeah.
Give me a case study of who's died from and what they were eating.
But you already this happened to, I'll say, a friend of mine, where the person said they didn't eat, but they ate.
They lied.
And then when you go and put a tube in, of course you're jamming this. It's this device to open your mouth, and it's like sticking your finger in your throat. If you stick your finger in your throat, you're gonna throw up.
Not me.
Right? And that's if you're awake. If you're awake, it's less of a problem. But when you're completely asleep, you have no control, you're going to throw up, and you're not going to have your airway protect itself, which is close up, and your throw up doesn't go into your lungs. But if you're asleep and you throw up, you're going to breathe it in, and you're going to breathe in stomach acids into your lungs.
Well, maybe I'll breathe in what I ate, and I want to know what it feels like. I want to know what it feels like to breathe in a delicious Black Magic pizza.
Yeah, and you guys
I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like death.
I want to see what it feels like to inhale a Dr. Pepperoni.
And that's what you guys are there for. If I start, you'll save me.
Yeah,
I know you're.
I'll start pumping. They're like, oh my God, this little guy, this inward's got pizza in his lungs. Start pumping the pizza out of his lungs. You're pumping me. You're pumping me.
It's a problem. It's not even a small thing. It's a big problem.
I've never heard of this. I've never heard the people that could spray food into their lungs.
Don't do it.
Okay, I won't.
If you eat, tell them.
So Dan,
they're just gonna send me home, but I can't wait another 3 months for my hip surgery. I got to get these hips done, man.
What's your tip?
No, you know what they'll do? They'll push you to the end. They'll wait till 8 hours after you've last eaten, and then they'll do it.
Oh, I don't want to wait to the end.
If it's an emergency, then they'll do this other.
No, you want to be the fresh. You want to be the first one. You never want to be the last surgery. He's just slopping it together. Then you want to be the first one when he's fresh. He's got the music on. He's listening to the classic rock.
So Dan, what's your typical day, like your work day? Do you do 2 procedures, like one before lunch, one after?
4. I bet 4.
Is it like?
Oh no, God, more than that. Well, it depends on what the procedure is. If it's a colonoscopy, there's a freaking 15 of them.
Whoa.
Just back to back?
Yeah, back to back.
And so what are you actually doing in the room? Are you just standing looking at the monitor? Can you check Facebook? What are you doing here?
No, of course I don't check Facebook. I'm checking the monitor and making sure the patient is doing well.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, the monitor will beep.
And then I play Candy Crush.
Now here's my real question. If you're in there doing your anesthesia business.
Which is just standing.
Right, now hold on. Let's say something.
No, we sit.
Well, hold on a second.
Got the luxury of sitting.
Hold on. So something starts to happen, but you are playing Candy Crush and you have on a pair of noise-canceling headphones and can't hear. Can everyone in the room do your job without you there?
Probably.
Yes, that's what I wanted to know. That's what I wanted to get to.
So, is the standard most like colonoscopy? That's a general, procedure that a lot of people have.
I have to get that.
And so,
Yes.
they get, you put them under or whatever. They're attached to the machines. I'm sure with modern technology, all the machines will let you know and beep.
Well, if they beep, the doctor comes in
and give you. No, I'm saying while the doctor's doing the colonoscopy, and we know what that is, and then there's some nurses.
Yeah.
You're sitting there. And are you basically just kill time until the procedure's over? You're doing nothing, right?
The procedure takes it depends, 20 minutes. But no, of course, I'm watching the person. Plus, I have to give more propofol while the person's asleep, or else if you stop the propofol, they're going to wake up with a tube in their butt.
You can say that. It's medical. I give it a pass. I give it a pass. Stop laughing. What did I say?
So, what's the most complicated part of your job? You would say the hardest part.
The hardest part is keep it or going to sleep first. That's the hardest part because it can be complicated. Most of the time, it's cake. It's easy, standard things. But then if they're bigger, or their airway is not ideal, then it becomes more difficult, and you have to use different kind of techniques.
Describe your ideal airway?
Short, a big jaw.
Yeah.
Skinny face.
Yes.
Long neck.
Yeah, it's like a giraffe.
Yeah.
So you want like a big head, big mouth, long neck, skinny body.
What's your work? Is it like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? What are we talking here?
It's variable, but it's usually you start work at 6 o'clock. You got to get there at 6, and then it depends on how your day is. Sometimes you're there till 7:30 at night. Sometimes you're out at 1.
Have you ever?
It depends how many surgeries are going on.
Have you ever put someone under that was famous?
No.
Would you think?
How you gonna say? I'll tell you a story.
Okay, tell me a story.
I'm gonna change names. So, anyways, I'm doing this procedure, and let's say the guy there's name was pretty famous. He was from the Scotch company, like Scotch tape.
That's not famous. That's not famous. Jelly Roll's famous. This is a Scotch tape executive.
No, not famous like that. I've never done anybody like celebrity famous.
Okay. You put Mr. Scotch under?
Mr. Scotch. I'm not going to say he wasn't specifically. Let's say he was Mr. Scotch. Okay. Somebody like that, right? And he was under, and everybody knew at the hospital knew him. Oh, hey, Mr. Scotch, Mr. Scotch. But I couldn't. I couldn't say his name right. I was like, Scooch. Hey, Mr. Scooch. And then he was very nice, and he corrected me. And he said, no, it's Scotch. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Give him some stuff. And I was like, all right, Mr. Scotch, you ready? And stuff like that. I said it so many times incorrectly, it was almost like I was doing it on purpose. Like I was like, screw you, old rich man, and messing with him. But I wasn't. I just couldn't get it right.
Well, that was a super uninteresting story.
Yeah, that literally gave me. I asked you if you ever gave the propofol to a famous person.
That may be the most uninteresting story I've ever heard with someone who're like, "Hey, check this out," and then you tell me,
"Hey, look at this, a blank piece of paper."
Almost, literally nothing. You mispronounced a person's name that you didn't. It would be interesting if you're like, "Yes, sir, Michael." Jukson, and you're like, I couldn't get. That's interesting because we're like, you didn't know Michael Jackson's name, but because you made up a fake name,
and it was Mr. Scotch, and then you said Mr. Scooch, which doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. Stick to your day job.
You know what? You're right. I apologize.
I am right. I know I'm right.
Thank you. Now tell Tom. Now beg Tom for forgiveness.
All right, let's talk about how much money you make.
I bet he does well. He sounds so happy. He's got to be doing well.
What can an anesthesiologist make as a physician assistant?
Anesthesiologist assistant.
Okay.
All right. Assistant to the anesthesiologist. Yes. How much can you make?
Assistant too.
Yeah. How much can you make?
Anywhere from $150 to $50 if you want to bust your behind working.
Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty good. Candy Crush, $250. This guy, look how happy he sounds.
Yeah, I know.
What are your hobbies? You got some goofing around money? You buy some dumb stuff?
I might upgrade my BDM membership.
Hey,
Oh,
if
you
you
should.
did that, then I won't make you beg Tom for forgiveness.
Extra $1 a month.
Okay, yeah, we'll take it. Anything we can get.
And but is it a like? Do you have to work weekends, or is it like usually the doctors only do surgeries like on a specific 2 days a week or something like
it's
a
usually
Thursday,
like a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Right, but we work with all the doctors. So like one doc will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The other one will be Mondays and Wednesdays, and
Yeah.
So we're every day.
Let me ask a last question. I feel like nowadays there's so many redundancy protocols that it's unlikely that one person's small mental mistake could cause a death. You see what I'm saying? Like they probably have phased a lot of this out.
I mean,
where it's
I like what you're saying as a patient. I'm glad to have those safeguards.
This is what I think about like with flying
have them, though.
and other things. Like, so there's not one mental mistake that you accidentally put the decimal in the wrong place and that's going to cause someone's death, right? Like there's redundancy
There's a
systems.
lot of checks and balances there, especially like procedure. Prior to the procedure, there's always this thing called a timeout that everybody says what we're here for, who it is, what side, everything like that.
Oh, Tom doesn't like that. That's almost like a team building exercise. All right, guys, gather up. We've got Eric today. He's getting his pancreas scanned. Like, you hate that stuff. Just give me the piece of paper under my door. I'll be out in a minute.
What I don't like is when I got surgery on my left shoulder, and then they'll take a black Sharpie and they'll mark a big X on my right. And then I'm like, what's that for? I'm like, that's so we don't do the surgery on the wrong shoulder. Then I'm like, that's your procedure?
Yeah.
How about you do this internally? Because now my confidence in this whole operation has gone lower.
Remember my injection? They did the wrong leg. They were like, oh, yeah, we're doing both. Who cares? And they X'd my legs, and they came and they jabbed both of them.
Just come, I mean, have
They don't care.
a different, it's like me, like I have a meeting with a client, and I'm like, I have to tell them that I am, tattooing their name on my hand so I remember what to call them.
Exactly.
Like, don't tell them that. I'll write their name on a paper later after they leave.
Well, and my last question, it's from the chat room. Do you use medical marijuana?
I do not.
Okay.
Is there
But
any?
I'm not opposed.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
opposed.
Cool. Would you be allowed to?
That is a good question. I don't know the definitive answer on it, and
Yeah, I
I
wonder-
probably won't chance it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, it sounds like you got a great job, and you're giggly and funny. It sounds like you like it, so why even chance it? But I wonder if they drug test. I would imagine they do, right?
Probably.
I've never been tested.
Well, then I would imagine they
but
don't. Look, if you've never
they
been
won't.
tested, chances are they don't do it because it costs a lot of money, and they'd have to test everybody.
If I know the system, they test when there's an accident. That's what they do. So as long as you're not an accident.
Yeah, that's called the forklift special, right?
Yeah. The insurance, they come in and test everybody to see if they can get out of it. Anyway, all right, Dan. Sounds like you got a pretty sweet job.
Yeah, man. Enjoy it, and thanks for keeping up with this and getting through to me.
So, one more question. What are the regular anesthesiologists, the doctors make? Are you
what do they
talking
make?
double? What?
Oh God, it's probably 300 to 500.
Ooh,
half
nice.
$1,000,000. My
Yeah.
God.
And is their job that much harder than what you're doing?
It's harder because they got to manage a bunch more patients, 10 times the amount.
Oof.
And they work the weekends, and their job is not done. Like, after I push them into the PACU or the recovery area, I'm done. I'm gone. I'll never see them again. They will have to manage them for a bit longer, like especially if there's any issues and stuff like that. So it's harder, yeah.
Huh, interesting. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, cool.
All right.
I got sad at the end. I think I made him sad at the end. He's like, oh, this is over.
it doesn't sound like a bad. Like if one of my sons, I would, if they had any interest whatsoever.
That's a good one.
I'd be like, get an education on that. That seems like that's never going to go away. There's always going to be,
Yeah.
Although
you want an easier one? You want an easier one?
It does seem like AI and a robot could do this.
I got an easier one for you. You're only going to have a window for a few more years, but I think it's the best one. And don't at me because this person's in my family. I have a radiologist in my family, and she says it's pretty damn easy. She's good at it, and you don't have to worry about shooting drugs into people. You just put them in the machines.
Yeah.
I think that's less. That's like
MRI technician.
But she does all the. I think she's certified for all of them, and she has worked her way up to a point where she kind of is like the anesthesiologist over the other radiologist techs.
Yeah.
Not bad.
The only downfall for working in the medical industry is I'm sure it's
a lot of poo-poo.
Well, that, and it starts to beat you down to the point where, like, maybe you enjoy the aspect of helping people and you realize that this has all just become bilking the insurance companies, and you're doing a lot of, like, imagery that is unnecessary.
But can you turn a blind eye?
Yeah,
I think I can.
Yeah, if you can turn a blind eye.
I have a good blind eye. How good's your blind eye?
And it's the best.
Yeah,
I got 2 blind eyes. I'll never.
Oh man, look at that! Wow, can't see it. Look at that, can't see it.
Any paper, I'll just sign. I'll just line it up. I'll sign them all.
You know that is the only thing I miss about us having our own business.
What?
Less blind eyes over here. I can't have a blind eye. So I would like to sit in here and have people email me and turn a blind eye to the emails. Can't do it. You can't do it.
You can only turn a blind eye with someone else's business.
It's corporate emails, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have corporate emails. They're emails to me.
Yeah.
As an owner, no. There's no such thing as turning a blind eye to it.
And turn a blind eye to morality, and and then
Well, you do that. You just don't tell people you're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
You hide that from people.
No, that's the blind part.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. You get it.
If you
We're
turn
on the same page here.
You turn to seeing eye, then people are like, oh, you're being a horrible person.
Chat room, they're just throwing out YouTube and Twitch. You can search for us if you like watching podcasts, at Tom and Dan Live. They're throwing around a bunch of stuff about, like, boob smashing.
No, come on.
You know what? That's not. I don't even put that in there. That's a hard one because here I'm going to tell you why.
That's not a thing.
Number one, ladies don't want that done, and it can be. And if let's say you find something, right? That's a terrible one. That one's hard. Dealing with breast cancer, mammograms, that's hard.
Oh,
I don't want to do that.
Oh, I thought you meant with
no boob smashing.
I thought you meant like the anesthesiologist was smashing her boobs when you were asleep.
That's like 9 steps further than where I was going, but I like the way you're thinking.
Hey,
so you're talking about sexual assault.
Yeah. Because I thought that they were saying that like the creepy doctor that put you to sleep.
No, they're talking about like radiologists doing like a mammogram.
Okay, all right.
So I mean, but that from what I've understood, that can be case by case can be terrible. So no, I don't even think I'd want to do that.
What you want to be in a business that you're not finding life and death stuff. Like you want to work with the
Then I couldn't do radiologist.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there. Follow me with this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go too far in there, but I got a 7-year-old kid in the MR machine. I'm looking at his brain, and it ain't looking good. I would walk out in the parking lot. I'll get in my car and drive home, and you'll never see me again.
Yeah. You don't want to. That's why you deal with the feet.
Feet is good.
You deal with hands.
Let's walk through this. Hands
and feet,
and only adults, no children. I could not be a pediatrician or any of that. I don't want
to. You deal with their hands and feet. It's fine.
Yeah, but then sometimes occasionally you get the outlier super sad, neglect or something bad. I don't. I'll just deal with big adults, big ones.
Yeah.
Big people that need some help.
And it was, but like. I think a lot of these professions with the medical industry is a lot of education, and then your day-to-day, it's pretty routine for the most part. And then there's outliers, but the routine stuff can be put in the category of it's an easier day, right? Because, like, say you do have, like, 10 colonoscopies, and they're all the standard, and it's like, okay, they're, you know
how to plan for it.
Yeah.
That's cool in my mind.
You're just doing it's like you're not doing a complicated, crazy, stressful thing. Well, it's not like an ER surgeon is insanely stressful, and all the time you're dealing with gunshots and people's lives at the risk.
They're going to make me yell at you for, putting a T on surgeon.
No,
yeah, they hate that. They hate that. But I agree with you. I agree with you 100% on that because, like, for me, like I even look at, like, if you had, like you just said, 10 colonoscopies, you can line that up. Like, that's less predictable than even what we do. Like, when we get some weird job on here, we don't know if it's going to be good or bad.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk to somebody, the energy can go, you know, one way or the other. You know, we could ask a bad question like we did with old Night at the Roxbury when we talked about his personal, medical advice or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, but if you're giving
How did that show go? Anybody in our chat room went to that Chris Kattan show?
I don't know, and this is not a diss, but I don't know if we had one listener, and we have a decent amount of listeners. I don't know if we had one listener go see Chris Kattan.
Someone had to have gone.
I don't know. I didn't hear one thing about it. Not one thing about it.
Yeah. But someone had to have gone and seen what is it.
Putting it out there. We'll put it out there. Hey,
tell us if it was good.
Yeah, if you went and saw Chris Kattan, I mean, email us and let us know. show@tomanddan.com.
All right. So if you have a weird job and you want to
showcase it,
talk about it, I don't know why you would, because it seems like we just make fun of everybody.
Well, I mean, I think there's something to make fun of in every job, though.
Yeah.
Right. So show@tomanddan.com. Show@tomanddan.com if you want to do that. We're going to get out of here.
Yep. We will see you tomorrow. Welcome back to A Corporate Time. So the Frankie Valley.
Well, it's hit peak. It's hit what is that, maximum velocity? When People Magazine picks it up, and it's on the front page of People Magazine, basically. And here, let me get I pulled the story here. They're basically saying that Frankie Valley, like, there's a conspiracy. Everybody on social media, if there's an old man like Richard Simmons, Frankie Valley, Dog the Bounty Hunter, like when you don't see him for a while, and then they pop up and they look pretty rough, people are like, he's doing that against his will.
He's being forced to get up there to make someone else money.
Yeah. Young people now, younger than me, I'm 48, but young people now, I always picture people wearing tiny beanies when they're making these comments, but most really young people, when they see old people still performing entertainment in the world, they think they're slaves. They're slaves for their housekeeper. Help! They think everything is a conspiracy theory. There have been no less than hundreds of videos on Instagram, Reels, and TikTok about Frankie Valley of the Four Seasons saying that this man that is 90 years old is being forced to perform. And I can't disagree a little bit here. I've got some video.
Well, he came out and did say, no one's forcing me to do this.
He did say that nobody is forcing him. Here, let me see if I can pull this up here.
Listen, you start to lose it, and everybody does, and it's pretty amazing that he's even able to get up there at all.
Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Look at it. Like, I mean, it's just so bad. It's and then the lady, like, giving the commentary, she's even worse. There's hundreds of videos of him online right now. He's 90 years old, and they get him out there, and of course he's singing with a backing track, right? Like, there's no way. I don't think he could perform right now.
Now,
it's just
why I think the internet, obviously he's not being forced to do this, but the question is why
still do it?
Are the people around him, his friends and family, letting him do it?
Right, like, why are they allowing him to do that?
That's a hard thing too. Like, it's like your grandparents stopping them from driving, right? This happened to my grandfather.
We've all had to do this.
Where he, he got into a bad accident one time, like just pulling out of his, the street he lives on. Yeah. And he looked both ways, I think, and he just didn't see a car coming.
Well, sometimes you look slower both ways, right? I mean, that could happen to anybody.
Or cognitively, like, most likely if you do get an accident, it's going to be by your house because your brain is lazy and it's just like it doesn't even see things.
Well, you turn it off, right?
And
you autopilot it.
But then he never had any other bad accident. But there was a couple times where the neighbors came to me and said, like, hey, I don't know if it's the best thing especially after he hurt his neck, like, for him to be driving.
Yeah.
And then it was because he didn't want, like, he wasn't going to accept, hey, you're not allowed to drive.
I don't think you know where I want to go on this. I don't think you know where I stand on Frankie Valley. I say he has to do it until he does die on stage, right?
No, just
don't
keep
stop
moving.
him. You
Yeah,
can't stop
yeah,
him because if we stop him now, seriously, he put out the statement. Like, okay, first of all, you should all be ashamed of yourselves that you made his people tell him about it and then made him actually give a statement. You just took some time off his life. He doesn't have time to be. This is anxiety. Like the fact that you put this in his brain, you're like, oh, like he even made a statement. He's like, I have heard that I know there's been a lot of stuff on the internet about me lately, so I wanted to clear the air. I'm blessed to be 90 years old and still doing what I love to do, and as long as I'm able and audiences want to come see me, I'm going to get out there and perform. Now, just the fact that you stopped him performing to make him make this statement, you're killing him. I'm serious.
Yeah.
This guy,
let him do it.
If you stop him from doing it and even making fun of him, continue to make fun of him. That will push him along the tracks.
Yeah, I mean, you
can't, not to his face, though. You can't do it blatantly to his face. You have to do it just secretly on TikTok where he doesn't know it's happening.
Also, what do the people expect from a 90-year-old man?
I guess not a backing track. It is a backing track. It's very blatant. He's barely moving his lips. So people are like, well, why are you doing it? Well, if the answer is because he wants to do it, is that not good enough for you? He's doing it for him.
When I saw Willie Nelson on stage, I wasn't expecting him to put on a super energetic
David Lee Roth in his prime, kicking with the swords and doing karate kicks. He's got the samurai swords out there.
Honestly, I was like, how is he even going to stand there? And then I realized, they bring him out.
Chair.
They sit him on like a hay bale or whatever.
I disagree with that. Don't sit him on a hay bale. He's a goddamn legend. You get the man a lazy boy. Get him something nice, a leather recliner.
And so
sit him on a hay bale. What, he's an infant at a pumpkin patch?
It may have
That's
been
Willie Nelson.
A chair that looked like a hay bale. It's part of the scenery.
Don't make it cute. Give him something nice.
And so then when you see it, you're like, okay. And then the backup singers in the band do a lot of the heavy
Frankie
lifting.
Valli says that. He says in his statement, he's like, how do we do the show? The Four Seasons sound was always about layering vocals and instruments. We use our 60 years of experience, so we sound like the records. I sing. I have singers who sing. Great arrangements. We double back with everybody. I get a chuckle from the comments wondering if someone is forcing me to go on stage. Nobody has ever made me do anything I don't want to do.
Yeah, and then as long as he keeps selling tickets, or I guess whatever the casino split is, or whatever,
doesn't matter. Like if he were doing it for, like, let's say he went to the smallest venue in Orlando, which I don't know what it is.
People would see it just to see a legend.
If he went to Whiskey Lou's and 15 people were there, if he's still enjoying it, then you got to let him do it, right?
There is, Crystal was always like this, and she still is, where she was disappointed she never got to see Aerosmith. They canceled their tour or whatever, and then that's done.
I don't think that's done.
You think they'll come back? I don't know.
Really? You want to end it like that? They are by many people considered, not by me, but I do not hate Aerosmith in any way, shape, or form. I think you have to give them a lot of credit as being one of America's greatest rock bands. Like the Beatles get so much. I mean, we only have a couple. What do we got? The Eagles, Aerosmith, Foo Fighters, Pearl Jam, maybe.
Yeah, half of those have had problems.
but my point is that Aerosmith, I don't think you can go out like that. I think they got to figure something out, and they got to do one more round, and that's it.
Well, I think it's
because theirs got cut short.
Steven Tyler's voice, right?
You got to do Digital Steven or something. You got to do something.
Well, people want to see someone if they've never seen them live for the first time.
Except for you. I know you don't have that person. Or do you? I shouldn't do that. That's unfair to you.
No, you're right.
Okay, great.
I'm not as much of a, although as
you might have a comedian
as I get old, but I did think about Weird Al when he was talking about his tour.
Yeah,
I thought it may be next to the last tour this guy does. I don't know how old he's getting or whatever. But so it's like seeing someone like that once is something cool. If it's easy enough for me, I don't know if I'm traveling for Weird Al, but if he's coming to
Tampa,
Amway,
you go Tampa.
I'll go Tampa. But that's as far as I'll go.
Well, it's a big tour. I'd go Tampa for Weird Al, but it's a big tour.
I won't go Miami. Screw that.
Yeah, that would be a disaster. That would be a disaster. Chat room checking in on YouTube and Twitch at Tom and Dan Live. If you like watching your podcast, we got a big thumbs down on Pearl Jam. Okay, I see you. We got Beach Boys. It's already flown. The Beach Boys are fractured. You can't because you got, what's his name? Mike Love has his version of the Beach Boys, and then you have Brian Wilson and everybody else. You can't do Beach Boys. They're out. Van Halen, that'll never happen. David Lee Roth and Wolfgang will never get, they'll never put their well, David, it would have to be David Lee Roth. Wolfgang, his son, has basically, I think he's mature enough as a young man to say, like, I'm not going to fight with some dumb old man online. I have a successul rock band in Mammoth. Have you heard Mammoth? They're good.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're just a great band. So yeah, I'd get that one. Won't have Guns N' Roses. You and I saw Guns N' Roses. That was a good show.
Although
that was a good show.
In a stadium, like Camping World, we're in the upper deck. It's hard to even say like you experienced a Guns N' Roses concert because you're just watching in the big screen and you're just looking at ants on the stage.
But I like the energy. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I thought it was cool, and I thought they sounded good. I mean, for a stadium show, I thought it was pretty good.
And to just say you saw it, and that would be the last time I'm sure they'll ever, come around. So it's like, okay. Although never a Guns N' Roses person.
I'm trying to think of other acts right now that are out there that people are like, oh, no, why are they doing that? What are you doing here? Because there are a lot of them. This seems to be like a running thing that people just love to... God forbid, like, let's say a version of Great White goes back on the road because the guys love playing the music and need the money, and then everybody looks at it, and you just check the comments, and it's just, what are you doing? Go die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard because in one aspect, you kind of feel like, oh, this guy's doing what he wants to do. Let him go do it.
Yeah.
Get him. And then another aspect, you look at it, you're like, oh.
Sad.
It's kind of like sad that, that he's still, it'd be like me and you in 30 years. We're still doing a live show.
We will be.
We're all, by that time my CTE is, full on.
But you know what's great is that you're muscly as hell and you blew all your hair out, so you're bald with the most muscles a man can get.
Yeah, but
I'm just a floating head in a wheelchair.
But by that time, I'm farved out from the concussions.
You got one dead arm. You got a dead arm. You can't put your shirt on.
And I couldn't even imagine.
I'm not there. I'm digital Danny. It's got to be a hologram Danny, right?
And then so the people are like, oh, because they're remembering what you were.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And
is there a way that Frankie Valli could do this that, like, I think it's all in how you, I've always said this to you. I'm always like, oh, I can deliver any message to anybody. It's all in how you say it, right? So could you apply that concept to, like, the music of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons is legendary. There's a Jersey Boys. It's about that, right? So, really, all he really needs to do is take himself out of the equation in some way or limit how much stage time he has.
But we're just seeing the parts where he froze a little bit.
No, it's all pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's all pretty bad.
But he got through something.
Well,
and we should celebrate that. Like, he got up there and sang. He did something.
Because it reminds me of, like, when you have a little kid.
90 is pretty damn old.
It is, but like when you have a little kid that, like, doesn't want to do something. Let's say there's a little kid in, like, a pageant. And the little kid doesn't want to be in the pageant. And he's the little kid on the side that's just kind of barely moving his mouth. And that's kind of the effort that he's given us.
So then it's like, well, what?
I think doing more harm now. Nobody's told him. I don't think anybody in his camp, though, has said. Because remember, in his statement, he was like, hey, there's been a lot of stuff on the internet about me. Like, he didn't say, I've seen the videos of my performances and wowie wooey.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah. I cannot do this anymore.
I don't think he knows that he's barely moving his lips.
Like he has no idea how bad it is?
Isn't this the other side of the argument? That okay, well, let's argue the other side of the argument is he should stop. Maybe the people that are in charge of the estate, maybe the people that are in charge of Jersey Boys, there's a lot of jobs. It's a tour. Maybe they are like, nah, you're doing a great job, buddy.
There's a lot of...
Well done.
Is this some sort of residency or is he on tour?
I believe he's on tour.
Well, now I see more about what the internet is talking about, who's kind of putting them out there.
Yeah, so here he is. There he's singing Sherry Baby.
Let me see it.
He's not moving his mouth enough for him to project the vocals out of his body. So what you're getting is really just the presence of Frankie Valli and a backing track as he ever so gently moves his. It's as if
his lip singing.
It's literally like you have the weakest man in the world moving a puppet's lips. It's the tiniest mouth movement I've ever seen in my life.
What's funny is that a young, jovial voice is coming out of the Crypt Keeper.
It is. It is weird. It's an off-putting voice.
Which is like
the voice of an angel coming out of a dead man.
You need to hold up the voice a little bit.
No, whisper it. You need to have it like more whispery.
Yeah.
So it's like he's like.
You're using 38-year-old Frankie Valli's voice to represent 90-year-old Frankie Valli, and you're right. He can't even lip sync well enough to make it even close.
I kid you not. There are thousands of videos of Frankie Valli on TikTok. Like you just go to TikTok and you just type in Frankie Valli, and it's nothing but pictures of him barely. Oh, here he is a little bit. Okay. Here, what's he doing now? Yeah, that's
barely lip singing.
Yeah, he's barely doing it.
So let's say.
So I don't know where I stand now. Do we keep him going to keep him alive?
Let's say I'm the manager of this whole operation.
Oh, you're running him into the ground. Poor Frankie, right into the ground.
And I meet with Frankie Valli, and then what are they called?
The Four Seasons.
The Four Seasons.
Yeah. It's good. Here's a tip. Yeah. Before you meet with Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, write their name on your hand.
Yeah. Listen,
so you know.
I don't care I just care about the money.
Yeah, I know you do. I know.
I'm just a tour manager.
See the jacket that guy's wearing? That jacket screams money.
So I meet with the Four Seasons, and I'm like, God damn. I'm telling myself this. I'm like, they are old as hell.
Last season is the season of winter.
But
holy crap.
But we put out the tour dates, and they start selling some tickets in the venue, because there's so many old people that have nothing to do. They remember like, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
And then you end it with, oh, what a night. That's that's such a big song.
And old people, they got disposable income, so they're buying the tickets.
Where are we doing this at? Lakeland Civic Center?
I mean, there's some.
Where's Civic Center at?
Yeah. There's, I may get to an Abbey-sized venue.
Okay.
I'm saying like
smaller theater. Small theater.
Yeah, small theaters. I'm doing the Sanford Wayne Dench Theater.
Okay, I don't think Frankie could do. I don't know.
Yeah, just a lower
lower bowl. All right, lower bowl.
And so then, and now I've already sold the tickets, and the money's already in, right? And I've already split it with the Four Seasons. I've taken my cut, and I've snorted it up my nose.
Nice, excellent.
So then during the tour,
you're gonna go back there and knock this old man around.
I realize I'm like, oh my God, these guys are older than I thought. After 3 dates, they're worn out.
Well, Frankie's got COVID now.
Yeah,
Frankie's got the Omicron.
Yeah, and I talked to him, and I'm like, there's nothing there.
Yeah, and he's like.
He's full on sniffing my hair.
He's straight Biden.
And then so I'm like, oh God, now. But I'm like,
oh my God, I got a great idea. And it worked for the Democratic Party. You need a black woman.
I've already
slide her out there.
Snorted my money, and I can't give it back. And so I just, I'm like, I tell myself, well, maybe.
It's a nostalgia act.
Maybe tomorrow with some rest, and we'll pump him. I get some Adderall from my buddy.
You got to put him on those superhuman drugs.
Yeah. We'll get him some coffees and stuff like that. Just get him out there.
Get him a Ric Flair's woo energy.
And I'm not that bad. I'd ask him, I'm like, you okay, Frankie? You good? He's like, oh, yeah. Okay, you'll be Frankie.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, you're good. So you want to keep going, right?
I don't really know.
Yeah. You said your family said you wanted to go.
Lately, I have been forgetting the words.
That's really Frankie. Listen, that's fine. Just listen while you sleep. All that really matters is that you get out on stage, because that's all I have to give no refund. I can't guarantee a good show, but I can guarantee you walk out on stage and just do something.
You just push him out there.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, I'll lead him out. I'll get some.
You can lead a horse to stage, and you can't make him sing.
And then he's out there, does his thing, comes back, and get him some more coffee. And then I ignore the internet.
Okay, yeah.
As long as he gets out there himself.
How do you think this made its way back to him? I mean, we've been enjoying these memes for months. At least I have. I've seen them on TikTok and Reels for a very long time, and I'm laughing at them.
Well,
but it did finally get back to him, and I think that makes it real.
The manager is getting all the heat. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting all the bad press. And
but you can handle it. You're built for it.
Yeah. But so,
I couldn't do that job.
So I have to record Frankie saying, tell the world that you're doing this yourself and no one's pushing you. And
that does seem a little like Richard Simmons-y, right?
And then he tells him, he's like, oh, this is all myself, or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
I'm
like,
not doing
okay.
this against my will.
Then I put that out there. I'm like, see?
Yeah.
Get off my back.
Well, do you want to know the rest of the story? Because there is a little bit more. It gets a little juicier because amid all of this, it comes up that that Frankie Valli, they've been saying this on TikTok, the controversy comes 4 months after Valli's restraining order against his son Francisco, 36. Apparently, he's got 2 sons, one younger one, one older one. The younger one, Emilio, 29, lives with Frankie. And the older,
goddamn, 29-year-old son, you're 90.
Yeah,
this guy.
And the dude, and the other dude, the 36-year-old, has been coming to their place and breaking in and like threatening to knock that old man out and kill him. So I'm going to kill you, old man. I'm going to kill you both. I'm going to chop your heads off.
Why is he doing that?
I don't know. Just want some money. You got to get some money.
Yeah.
So they have They have a permanent restraining order against the son Francisco, and they made it permanent after insisting. For the last 3 years, they've had a restraining order against that guy.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, he broke into the house in April, and that's what forced them. He repeatedly physically threatened to harm or kill both Frankie and Emilio. Won't take much on Frankie, though, I'll tell you that. That's going to be an easy one for you. You might have your hands full for Emilio, but Frankie, piece of cake. You get there, if you're really like, I'm going to kill you, you don't have to say that twice.
It is amazing.
I would stand if you kill Emilio in front of Frankie, he'll stop.
I saw a story the other day, a 99-year-old woman that still crab fishes. I think we talked about this every day. Like, she still goes out in the crab fishing boat. Although
it's a Frankie Valli, right? She's not going out there throwing pots.
No,
Is she?
Well,
they didn't do it for the video. Everything is fake.
She's not doing as much as she used to, but she is doing, like, Crystal's grandfather was like this, like in the past. I mean, really, 98. He died at 99, like 5 days before his 100th birthday, and it really is because he fell. But before that, like this MFer was like on it. Like, still, put on the suit every day and still, like, talking S to everybody, still, like, mentally with it, full head of hair.
I won't have that. I'm losing it at 48.
And that's, like, that's your genes,
it's crazy.
and it's amazing what and then you see other people in their 70s, and they are, like, the Crypt Keeper in their 70s, and, like, mentally not with it, and it's, like, really wasted away, and it's like, damn, how are you the same human being? You're 25 years apart. One guy is just insanely with it. Another guy's like,
completely different chemical makeup, right? I mean,
that part
you shook him up differently.
The biology.
I mean, look at Mutombo. Dikembe Mutombo.
Just random
just
cancer,
yesterday. I mean, pretty young guy, right? 58, brain cancer, I think.
Then disease gets you. But if you're like don't have any diseases like cancer or whatever, but sometimes your biology just. You're, cognitively still with it at an older age, and like you still
Andrea's granddad. Andrea's
that's
is
insane.
What, 101? He's 102, 101.
That's another one. That's an amazing story.
He gets up every morning and drives over to see his great-grandson, who is a bitty baby. And he drives over.
The fact that he's still driving.
He holds the baby every day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That is an amazing feat of humanity.
Yeah.
It's just like we're never that amazed by that. I feel like as a society, as much as I am,
especially if it is your family, and then you just forget the person exists, or they call you and they're like, I don't have time.
Yeah. It's like 101, and you're still driving.
Should probably make time, right?
It's insane.
Yeah, should probably make time to talk to that guy.
I mean, it's just that accomplishment alone is insane. Like, and then so Frankie Valli, like even him getting on stage and horribly lip sync through some song is still kind of impressive.
I mean, it is. I mean, all jokes aside, you can't stop him from. You got to let him do it.
It's impressive that he put on that suit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if he did it himself.
It's actually, I think the whole thing like that.
Although the manager's dressing him as old bald.
Yeah, I would like to see how the whole thing starts. You're right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how much of it is the illusion of what he's doing and how much of is like reality. And then I'd be able to decide.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people look at this and they think about it almost like I did with Maggie the dog. It's like, why are we doing this? Like a lot of people look at it and think like, he's not enjoying that. How can he be? It's not good.
Yeah.
Ugh, God.
And in the entertainment world, you sold the tickets, and it's like there's more to it than just you quit. Because if you quit now, no one's ever going to do it again. Like, this is your last.
Yeah,
this
is
for
it.
You know what I'm saying? So if he did say.
It is truly unique to you.
If he did say, I'm done, and that's it, he'll never be on stage again.
No.
And he knows that.
Yes.
And so he's kind of probably just pushing through his last couple stage shows, and just because he's like, well, let me see if I can do it again.
I think we figured it out.
Yeah.
This is like what was the guy that sang with Lady Gaga? Tony Bennett.
Okay.
I think this is a Tony Bennett. I don't think this guy could ever turn it off.
Yeah. I mean,
He's no off. He has no off because the minute
he knows,
and you're right. The minute he knows, and that's why he gave the statement and even everything, is because he knows as soon as they go like, well, maybe we should cut back a couple of shows. Well, you might as well put him in the ground now.
You're right.
Done.
I mean, there are tons of
my dad was like that.
stories.
God, I hate to say that.
People that quit working or don't have a motivation.
Do you think I'm like that? Do you think? Sometimes I worry about that a little bit with me because my father was like that. So as soon as he quit Prentice Hall, which was his big, where he had a big responsibility, right? He had a huge territory. He had, at one time, I think he had 70 clients under just him.
Yeah.
And he would handle all of them just kind of very much like, that's why I make a lot of the similarities between like what you do. And I laugh about the stress level and stuff like that. I mean, it's very similar. But my dad did that. He had 70 plates to spin within all of Central Florida. And he did it at a very high level. And he did it a great job. But it tore him down, right? It like beat him up really, really bad. It's a hard job. But then when he shifted and he had the opportunity to retire, we realized very early on that his health actually started to decline more when he wasn't actively
doing his job,
like sort of stressed out. Like it was not stressed out, but like it's almost like he needed the pressure of that really high pressure sales job, and he needed the pressure of those 70 clients to give him a purpose.
Oh yeah,
in some weird way, which is sort of sad.
Yeah, well, you become, your life becomes the routine, and then when you switch that routine, and it's hard to find a new routine. Although your dad was relatively young, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was a young dude.
As far as like, I think switching your routine once you get into your 80s, then it's like that seems real hard to do. Like that's why I think, when you retire at your 60s, 65, if you're lucky, then you have another, hopefully 20, 25 years to find some new old routine.
Yeah, Dad.
Your new old man or old woman routine that should be that, and then that you can never switch, and that's what happens when
he did 63.
When someone moves to a retirement home, then they're screwed because that last 25-year routine, if you change that, you're done.
I kind of like when I think back onto it now, it's like at 63 when he retired, there were some rudderless time. There was some rudderless time there where he didn't know what he was doing, And I think back to it, I just almost wish he'd stayed, like working. I'd be interested to see how it would have played out because there was some pretty clear-cut frustration when he didn't have a job, and it was almost like he didn't know what to do with himself. He'd wind up at the radio station, like hanging out, like after the Monsters. I'd be like, "What are you doing here, Dad?" He'd wind up with like at my mom's school, like, "Hey, I'll help you shuffle the books." And like he didn't know what to do. And I think sometimes for a man where you're the breadwinner or you're that guy, when you take that away, it like kind of screws you up a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. But then he ended up getting a job selling chainsaws, so that fixed him up.
Yeah.
He was happy. He's really happy to be having a sales position again.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Corporate Time.
Welcome back to a Corporate Time.
So what is this B story you told me about?
I found this video, like, it's very rare that, I would say that my TikTok algorithm is getting better because I'm getting, like, a lot of little interesting things that I actually, like, find interesting. I don't know why they resonate with me, but my algorithm's getting better. But this video came up, and I guess it was because, for whatever reason, I was following along with bomb-sniffing dogs.
Okay.
And then it came up with this particular video about bees, and I'll ask you to turn your attention over here so you can see the little video that'll pop up on the screen here.
Yeah.
And there's a little narrator here. Check this out.
These bees sit in a class, but what they learn is surprising. After being collected from their hive, these little workers are placed in a fridge. This cools them down, making them easier to handle. Once they're calm, they get fitted with tiny harnesses. Yes, bees in harnesses. Then, the real lesson begins. The bees are exposed to the smell of explosives. But here's the trick. In the last 3 seconds, they're given a sweet water treat. It's like rewarding them with candy every time they smell something dangerous. After just 4 rounds of this, the bees that stick out their tongues are officially trained to recognize that explosive scent. Now, they're ready for the field. The bees are placed inside a special device with little cartridges, each housing 1 bee. A sensor or camera keeps a close watch on them. When the bees detect the explosive smell in the air, they extend their tongues, a clear sign they've picked up the scent they were trained for. The device gathers air samples, and for 6 seconds the bees sniff away. If all the bees stick out their tongues, it's a big red flag that explosives are present. The best part? After a few days of sniffing out explosives, the bees are sent back to their hive, safe and sound.
It blows my mind.
Okay, hold on. I got a lot of questions.
It blew my mind. It actually. Let's walk through it a little. We can walk through it a little bit. So
Okay.
hopefully you caught all of that. I know it's a little bit fast, but yeah, it blew my mind because it actually shows. And for those of you just listening to this, there are actual videos of these little bees and their little harnesses. Then they go in the little cartridge. Then they are exposed to the smell of explosives. Then they stick their bee tongues out, which I didn't think they had tongues for whatever reason. I don't know. I thought they had something else. They wiggle it around, and then they're used in some sort of explosive like device that you can use to detect bombs.
Okay.
Just by giving the bees a little bit of treats.
So, now this is why people get mad at me.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Are you sure this video is real?
No.
Okay,
Absolutely
all right.
not.
Yeah, right,
I'm
because-
playing the role of Joe Average on the internet.
Okay,
Nobody
okay.
knows. Nobody knows if these things are real.
What struck me as it being fake
Yeah.
is that at first I thought, oh my God, they figured out another alternative to like a dog sniffing for explosives, and now like they could release a bunch of bees.
Yeah.
And if bees land on something, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Well, you could.
But the fact of testing the explosive back at the like laboratory or whatever and using the bees to test for explosives, I'm like, well, a computer can do that. That's what they do at the airport.
Yeah, we have stuff that does that.
When they swipe your hands with a swab, and then the actual machine tests for the explosives. So it's like, well, we don't need the bees to do it if a machine could do it.
True.
So why have the bees do it?
I don't have an answer for that, other than maybe there's something that the bee does that we can mimic and use for our technology. I know that we do that a lot, right? Where we take something from nature and we observe it and see what they're doing, and then there might be a chemical that they use within their bodies that we then find out that we can now make it synthetic, and now we don't have to use bees because we figured out the science behind it. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Oh, it is real. I just looked it up.
It is?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is real. It is real. In fact, it goes into the same category. You're very right. It goes exactly into the same category as bomb-sniffing dogs, but it's newer and it's not as widely used. They don't know all about it yet.
But this is for the bees to eventually lead people or security to potential bombs, not necessarily to have only in like laboratories.
I don't know.
Because
I think what you're saying to have them mobile would mean that you would have to be able to control the bees in some way. And I don't know if you could do that.
Follow them where they go.
Maybe following them, but I don't think you're going to be able to control them like drones. I think that's why they have them in the harnesses inside the cartridges, because you have to have them still.
But that seems then it goes back to why not have a machine do it if I
don't know.
Bees unless the bees can do it cheaper.
Again, this could be like maybe something completely aside from it. It's like you can have computers that do this. And we know that we do have computers that can detect smells and different gases. We know that's a thing. Yeah. And maybe this is just adjacent to it. It's not an and or. It's this is another thing that they're testing to try and figure out more about bees.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had tongues, and they're long as hell.
Well, it's what they use to collect nectar. Or from flowers.
Yeah, I thought it was something else. I thought they called it something else. I didn't know. It looks just like a regular, an regular tongue.
Yeah, it's interesting. But again, I'm like confused about why they're looking into this, and except for it's just an experiment. I'm like, do they plan to use bees for any sort of bomb sniffing?
Would they need to in order to do the experiment?
What do you mean?
Well, like I think like that. I'm asking the question of like, yeah, if it's just an experiment about bees, maybe they don't even know what they're gonna, use it for.
They're just proving the concept that they could do it. Okay,
right. Because from what it says here, bees actually have the ability to pick up way more sense than just explosives. They can do drugs. The reason I think they're trying to, and maybe why this came up, is that in this particular case, this study was one where they're trying to figure out why bees can smell cancer or tuberculosis, because apparently they can.
Okay. I know that like dogs can, and there's been dogs that can sniff out cancers and other diseases.
Tuberculosis? How do they smell that?
And because their noses are so sensitive, they're the micro particles that they can detect is insane.
What animals do we use now? We use dogs.
Dogs.
We use dolphins. We got bomb dolphins. The Russians got bomb dolphins.
I think America's used dolphins to.
The Navy has
find like floating.
Those
what are they
big,
called?
the big looking mines.
The underwater mines and stuff. And there's been animals used like for that purpose.
That's sad.
So, but they're
Old
I think
snooty, one wrong move and you blow your whole blowhole out of here.
Yeah. I think.
So we use dogs. We use dolphins. Now we know we use bees. Is there anything else we use? Cats? We can't use cats for anything? Cats are just like, what do we use? Cats are just for home pets?
They've used
that goes one up
birds.
On dogs. You know what I'm going to use as an argument against cat people now? I'm going to be like, well, are there any bomb-sniffing cats? Any weed cats? I don't think so. 1 point dogs.
I don't think they use cats for any thing like that.
Canary in a coal mine on the board. Canary's on there.
They've used falcons and other like birds of prey for things that they can see an insane amount of distance because and then also they scare away other, like they use them at the airport or whatever.
All right.
So to scare other birds away so they don't have bird strikes. But
I would imagine with the way that people want to treat animals that we're only a few, years away from no more dogs doing jobs, right? We'll just go to all computers.
Well, there's still an efficiency a dog will give you. Plus the cops, the like canine cops and other people that use dogs, they like working with the dogs. So it's like, if this cop likes doing it and is willing to take care of this animal,
it's the coolest cop job,
then
right?
they can.
I think it is. But I'm a dog guy. Like if I were a cop, I'd have the dog. That's the best canine cop. It's the coolest.
Although you have to deal with a lot of problems you wouldn't have to with
like what?
Yeah,
what if you hate your partner?
Animal.
Yeah, but what if you hate your partner?
Would
you rather have me chirping you up as your partner, or would you rather have a dog that sits in the back quiet?
Yeah. Well, I guess you're the dog.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So there you go.
And
you instantly answer for anti-dog, and I just turned you around.
Yeah.
I turned you around.
But if you're by myself or dog,
can't do that. You can't be by yourself.
Well, a lot of cops are by themselves.
No, there's mean streets out there. We do a lot of precincts. They'll do 2 in a car. They have to do it. That's on Live PD. That is the case a lot of times. They won't let cops go out just by themselves. You have to have a partner with you and like have your like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in bad areas, they won't even let you do that. You want to do a couple voicemails, buddy?
Yeah, let's do something.
All right, voicemail messages. All right, let me find these guys. If you want to leave us a voicemail message, there's a couple ways to do it. 1-844-TOMNDAN. That is our number. You can call that, or you can get our free app and leave us a voicemail message just by holding down that mediocre messages button. Let's go into the list here. This one, I think we stirred up something with the Miller's Ale House controversy.
Hey guys, listen to this Friday's Past show, and I think Dan's right about Miller's Ale House wanting to change their name to just Miller's, because there's, places that pop up and they just call themselves whatever ale house, and you may think they're associated with the Miller's Ale House, and that's exactly what that Davenport Ale House is. You can't go in there and get, a Big Red or a Zinger Mountain Melt, none of that. It's some like Bobo Ale House place just riding on the curtails of Miller's Ale House. So that'll make whatever the Love Sponge is doing at that event quite entertaining.
Maybe that's what we need to do. Is that what Crawford Kerr originally did when he started his franchise of wing houses? Did he deliberately choose a generic name in the idea that he could kind of like take that whole name? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like
the idea of Hooters. He obviously stole the idea of Hooters.
Yeah.
Good-looking waitresses,
Yeah.
scantily clad, and then you're just selling bar food, and then you show
it's just
football
a
games.
wing shop.
Yeah, and you heavily promote alcohol, right? And then the ale house, I'm surprised that I guess maybe they weren't able to copyright just ale house because it's too generic. So that's why they have to go Miller's Ale House. Although, is the knockoff ale house, is it decorated the same inside? Do they have like a sport fisherman theme, which is I've always found odd with Miller's Ale House?
It's deep sea fishing, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The deep sea,
because it's got the big reels everywhere.
Yeah.
Then and I think they only have like maybe 1 or 2 fish items on the menu.
Yeah, they're not a seafood restaurant.
No. If you want seafood, go to Current.
Yeah.
Get yourself a fresh sandwich, but
they have seafood, but it's like they're not known for their seafood.
Not by me.
It's more of a sports bar.
Yeah, it's come watch the game and have a mountain zingers. It's zingers.
Yeah. Which is closer to wings than it is seafood, obviously.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, this has gone on for years where people have just emulated the idea, which is not that far out there, is basically a restaurant that has a bunch of TVs and alcohol, and they serve simple bar food, and then a little bit, they'll have some fish and some other things, but they'll make their money on the wings, the boneless wings, the chicken sandwiches, right? It's like all that.
Yeah, it didn't used to be like very family though. Like people bring their families now. Like Gators is kind of like a family sports bar.
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings is even like that. But like I can remember when I was growing up, like a sports bar was a place for men that like sports only, and it was a rough around the edges type of place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like now we're like, oh, come on down to Beef O'Brady's, bring the family. It wasn't like that. When I grew up, it was like Dad would be like, I'm going to have a couple beers with Bucky down at the sports bar. It was like they're going to a bar.
It was
to
more
watch
bar
sports.
it was more bar than restaurant.
100%.
Yeah.
And it definitely, you didn't want any kids in there. You didn't want any moms in there.
Yeah.
It was just guys and beer, bud, heavy.
Yeah.
TV.
Although I will say, and hopefully they're a sponsor one day, but probably not, is like the difference if I go to a place called Ale House and I walk in and it's not the Miller's brand Ale House. It's no difference to me.
Oh no, it's not as good. No, it's not as good.
Like
I gotta have my classics. I gotta have my favorites. But you don't like anything, dude. You don't like you gotta.
Well, I'm like, I bet they have boneless wings.
Yeah, but again, you don't care about anything, so you're not gonna have. You'd have no varying degrees of what's good or better or whatever. So you're not their guy.
No.
You could go anywhere and watch.
Well, I'm the reason they exist because I'm not like a brand loyal to Miller's. I'm like, okay, do you have food and alcohol and TVs? Okay, that's all I need. That's all I need.
Let's try this one right here.
Hey guys, wanted to give a hurricane update here. Just driving home from work and stopped at the gas station to pick up some hurricane supplies, obviously. And, trying to make casual conversation with the cashier as I'm buying my beers. And I'm like, hey, it's pretty windy out there, buddy. You guys going to close early tonight? And he was like, no, we're staying open. We're staying open for the duration. And, scrawny redneck man popped up out of nowhere just from the shadows behind me, and he was like, well, that's the right thing to do right there, because as far as I'm concerned, this hurricane's going to be a big fat pussy. And I almost fucking lost it. I almost died laughing right there. And he continued. He said, do you remember back, when those 3 hit us back to back? And the cashier behind the counter was like, no, what year was that? And the scrawny redneck man continued, well, it was 2004. And the cashier looked at him and said, well, I was born in 2004. So the scrawny redneck man did not know what to say to that. He's seen a lot. He's seen a lot of the atrocities, and just expected that everyone else was on his wavelength, but that was not the case today. So
we didn't have a lot of those people around here. A lot of the people that were like, wish it'd been more. I think that's out of style right now. Especially when you see all the damage that it made through the Carolinas and Tampa. And
well, you fall into the all this over nothing when it doesn't affect you,
right?
Like we've always done. I mean, we've lived with this for our whole lives. If you lived in Florida, like we know how it's gonna go. It's like every year there are storms that people prepare for, and then it ends up being nothing. But then there's things that are like real bad.
Sometimes people prepare and their house gets washed away.
So it's like I think that's gonna happen for the rest of my life, right? Like there's a storm, and there is like nowadays, especially because everybody's got phones. I think we're more sensitive to it because it does seem like an overreaction every time because everybody now gets a text warning saying extreme weather, and then the cone is 200 miles wide, and you're like, I'm in the red cone, and then everybody, obviously is more anxiety-ridden than they used to be because we all have phones and we're being exposed to
we're constantly connected.
Yeah,
right?
And then,
there's no way to disconnect.
Yeah, so when you constantly get buzzing in your pocket, extreme weather, warnings, like how is that not going to affect you? Then people, and then of course you get, and then it politicizes it, and everybody's like, oh, quit being a P word.
Oh,
there's nothing to worry about. And then the people
do what you want to do.
Yeah. What happened to that?
Damn.
What happened to not caring what anybody else does?
Well, I mean,
like, that's how I live
unless they're going to hurt themselves, like if you got your one of your best friends. I mean, even if he wants to do it, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't go that far. I mean, if they're doing something really, really stupid, you try to talk them out of it, but they're probably not going to do that.
If someone is literally in the direct way of a Category 5 hurricane, I will suggest that they may do something.
Saying.
But if they are dead set, they're like, I'm staying. I'm like, all right.
You got free will.
You can do what you want. I'll throw you a warning, but I like that's the Van way. Like a run right into a 5.
Let's try this one. Let's try this one right here.
Yeah, I was listening to an old show, and you guys were talking about how your radio listeners used to attack other radio listeners, and you guys wanted to save your attack, and for the time that you really need it. And I was thinking that we need to make sure that this army, quote unquote, is ready to attack whenever you guys need it. So I'd say we all practice an attack. So on the count of 3, let's all attack, EJ, for example. We'll dox him. We'll find any.
No, we're not going to do that. Why would we be mean to EJ? We're not going to do that.
I do like your preparation of attack.
Yeah, it's a pre-attack.
We pick one person and then to see how much.
It's a readiness system. It's to test our readiness.
The problem is.
It's no different than EAS. Remember? You remember EAS?
When you guys don't show up, our enemies will see how weak we are. So that's the problem with practicing.
It will be disappointing when they don't show up. And they're not going to show up.
We practice an attack, and it's barely nothing.
There's only 3 people here.
Then our enemies are like, attack them.
We got Remy.
That's what I would do.
We got EJ. EJ's there. We got EJ he's ready to attack himself.
All right,
he'd be the only one to show up.
We got to go. Bye-bye. Welcome to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. We are live on Twitch and YouTube right now. Just search at Tom and Dan Live if you like watching podcasts.
On Zoom with us right now, we've got comedian Vince Taylor. How you doing, Vince?
Dang, man, you gonna tell me before you give me the live cam, bro? Before I put my Four Loco in my face?
I'm sorry. Hold on. I took it off there. Okay, let me put it back on.
No, I'm just playing. I'm
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm just playing.
You look good, man. What's going on, Vince Taylor?
Thanks, fam. I'm glad to be back with y'all. Quick shout out to Heather and Kevin Lackey. They're fans of yours that listen to the show. They say they love when I come on. And yeah, man, it's good to be back. Big things are going right now, all right, in the nerd world and in baseball, as you know. Dan, today's a big day.
Yeah, I mean, well, yesterday was a big day for me because I got to watch in the doubleheader. I got to watch the Mets.
And the Braves, yeah.
That Mets-Braves game went back-to-back so many times I had to turn it off. And I don't normally do that.
that 7th, 8th, and 9th inning?
Yeah.
Bro, it was like a tennis match.
Yeah, it was like, Braves are winning, they're in. Nope, Braves are out, Mets are winning, they're in the playoffs. Nope, Mets are out, Braves are winning, back in the playoffs. Nope, Mets are, and it just kept going back and forth. And I looked at Andrea and I go, this is bad for anxiety. Click,
You turned it off with the bad for anxiety. It was exciting.
No, it was not exciting.
I like my games being blowouts.
Yes.
I'd rather them not play at all.
I like a confident win or no game.
Nah, it's so exciting. And I mean, you got Atlanta and the Mets. You got the Acuna brothers against each other,
Indeed.
even though one of them's hurt.
Yeah.
And you kind of think within yourself, like, did they have a secret meeting beforehand? Like, yo, you win the first one, we win the second one, we call it even type thing. But that's a whole nother story. Pete Rose passed away. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Sports has got a thing. I got something for that later, but I wanted to start with the nerd stuff because, this weekend, Joker 2 comes out. I don't know if y'all are fans, but DC is making a comeback right now. Obviously, Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga are the Joker and Harley Quinn. Y'all into the Joker? Are y'all Gotham fans? Are y'all into Lady Gaga?
Okay,
I have strong opinions on this, but Tom's has his hand raised, and I think he's got strong opinions too.
All right, I watched the first Joker, right? And I will 100% admit, Joaquin Phoenix, he's an insanely good actor.
No one will debate that.
And his depiction of insanity and depression is so good that it makes the movie a bummer to watch. And I felt like well, why did I do this to myself? I'm watching mental illness because he's a really good actor, and he's depicting mental illness really well. But why am I watching it?
Right, it's like watching Hotel Rwanda and then going, well, it's an amazing depiction, but it's not. It is really deep and heavy stuff.
Right. It's very Schindler's List in
Yeah,
that way a little bit.
perfect.
It's important. But you're like, I don't know if I really wanted to see this. I'm definitely not going to watch it twice.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I, just full disclosure, am not a fan of the Joker original movie. I didn't like it because I felt that it deviated way too far from the Dark Knight's Joker, which was phenomenal. Heath Ledger smashed that role in Dark Knight. Look, if you disagree, you aren't real. You're not a real person. You cannot actually be in existence if you think Heath Ledger was not like the best Joker of all time, almost to an extent.
Now, you're a young guy. What about my Joker, which is, Jack Nicklaus, or Jack Nicklaus' son?
Is a close second, all right? He set it off, all right? I don't know if you know this or not, but Jack Nicholson actually took the part away from Robin Williams back when they were auditioning for the Joker on that original
Nicholson
Michael
took it
Keaton.
away from. I did not know that.
Yeah. Robin Williams was set to be the Joker, and then Jack showed up, and it was like, oh yeah, Robin, we'll hit you up for a part 4, and that didn't happen either. So Jack Nicholson was so phenomenal, and once again, taking the Joker, a clown. All right, and you remember that quote, when Batman's swinging away with Vicky Vale on his hip outside of the art museum, he says, "Where does he get these lovable toys?" Like,
he had 2 great lines in there. He's like, "Where does the toy line?" And then he had the other one where he's like, "This town needs an enema."
Enema.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, that's this guy."
Hey, what about? You wouldn't hit a man with glasses, would you?
Oh, yeah.
So many quotables. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah,
Get the heck out of here. Like, yo, Jack Nick definitely set it off. But they're trying to go this direction with Joaquin. I'm leery about it. I'm not too sure whether it's going to do well or not. It's giving me musical. I heard there's going to be songs in it. Nobody wants a comic book musical. So that's a whole weird thing. Yeah. But go ahead, Tommy.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you about Lady Gaga. Because when I saw that Gaga was in it, I was like, well, that's suspicious. Why is she in it when you could have a regular actress? And then I'm like, well, there must be some sort of singing.
She's good.
She's good, but you'd have to say there would be other better actresses.
I think there are better actresses.
Now,
yes.
But
emphasis on better, right? Okay.
Well, but there's probably no better actress / singer than Gaga. Right. So then that told me there's going to be singing in it, and I was like, why would they do that?
Yeah.
That seems like a weird.
She already released a companion
direction.
CD yesterday, I believe. She released the companion CD.
Yeah.
That's like her reimagining every song from the movie, which by doing that, immediately I hate the movie.
I'm gonna keep it real, Tommy. Right. I'm right with you, bro. Like, it's not conventional to have what we would say not a SAG-AFTRA actress, like somebody who's mainly kind of music catapulted them into the world of acting. We prefer, but keep in mind, we do have a Harley Quinn already, and she's oh shoot, dang, I'm gonna hate myself after this come up. I forget her name. But there's a young lady that plays Harley Quinn. Everybody loves her. You guys, man,
we know the blonde Quinn.
Yeah. The one that's
girl,
the one that's been naked before.
Somebody will hit you in the chat with it in a second, I'm sure.
Isn't she Barbie?
But I'm not gonna lie, I'm very curious to see how they depict Harley Quinn. She is one of the I would say probably the most coveted characters in the DC comics right now. And for her to be depicted by somebody that I think will bring a fairly realistic view of Harley Quinn, I think is something to look forward to. I'm just a little nervous about how they do it because it strays so far from the Batman we know from like the cartoon, the animated series.
Yeah. I always thought we'd get a little more of the animated series. I always thought we'd get and it was Margot Robbie as we were thinking of.
Margot Robbie, yes. Thank you.
I always thought we would get. I always thought this. I always personally thought and I don't have any allegiance to Marvel or DC. I was a weirdo. I was the kid reading Hard Boiled and Spawn and all that stuff.
Spawn's good, yeah.
So like I think I really and truly believe that in this case it's going to be too serious and it's not going to be fun. And I always thought we would get the Batman Beyond with like Michael Keaton playing the role of the Batman we got in the animated series, and then they get a young, cool Batman that's going to go out in the new, cool suit, and he's going to do all the cool stuff. Because Batman Beyond was awesome. You can go back and watch it now, and it's still awesome.
Yeah, it holds up. It holds up. I mean, Batman with wings that actually flies.
Yeah.
And
with Batman, but with old Batman there, and the reason that the reason Batman Beyond is my favorite is because old Batman was really mean. He was angry at young Batman. He's like, you're a young punk, and you're goofing around out there, and you're using the suit for stuff you shouldn't use. I like that angle. Yeah. And he was grumpy, and he's yelling at him. He was cool, man.
Yeah. Is that how you are? Would you be like that if you was old Batman?
Oh, I'm already old Batman. I yell at everybody. I'm old gag man. I yell at everybody and throw up everywhere.
Yeah, he's telling the cops about who runs the Hollywood. You're smoking with yellow teeth, Batman.
I am not smoking yellow teeth, Batman.
So. Vince, so back to the depiction of Joker, and I do agree with you.
Aren't they just depicting him as a man off his meds?
Well, Heath Ledger did an amazing job depicting a crazy Joker, but where he was crazy in a way that you're like, oh, you can't get away with this Joker. It's like you like being crazy too much, and you want to destroy the world. You know what I'm saying? Like he was good at the crazy, and you still take him as a villain. Joaquin plays it like you feel sorry for his horrible mental illness.
This guy some help.
Where he's just like he's riding in the car, and all the scenes are just him like laughing, serious laughing. It's like
he's tortured by life.
He's tortured, and then you feel bad. You're like, oh, this is a sad.
I mean, by design.
Like I feel, that's why it's. But you still, like, you're kind of taking it away from whether you're supposed to hate the Joker. You're not supposed to feel bad for him. And I understand that's what makes it a good movie.
Wait till you see the new movie they come out with that makes you hate the Batman. He's racist, Batman. Oh man,
I like this.
He's yelling at we hate Batman.
And then once Lady Gaga starts singing, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Once she starts twirling around singing to a depressed Joaquin Phoenix, I'm like, what the hell? I'm out of here.
So you're like envisioning like a suicidal Joaquin Phoenix on a roof somewhere about to do some crazy stuff, maybe light Gotham on fire, and then Lady Gaga shows up, carry my. Okay, this doesn't jive with the script, right? So I don't know. For me,
Joker face.
I was gonna do Joker face. God damn it! I was gonna say Joker face.
For that moment.
I got it. That's my Joker face.
Your Joker face. I was gonna Joker face. I was like, don't do that. That's stupid. Don't do Joker face. It's really dumb. And then you busted out with it. I'm like, I knew I should have done it. He nailed it. He nailed it too.
There's hands down. I agree with you 100%. Heath Ledger was a villain with crazy antics, and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is a crazy, I don't even want to say crazy, is an impaired gentleman. Like he was impaired, bullied, all of that, which gives you the whole, oh shucks. But is that what we want about villains? Like it's a weird concept, and we're moving to this world right now.
Impaired Joker, the next impaired Joker, Brad Williams.
Why you say
Put the camera on Vince.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool, though.
Right
Little person Joker would rip, dude. That's terrifying.
Tell me that little man Joker.
Tell me that's not scary as hell. Batman's like, where are you? Where are you? I know you're here.
Sounds like an Atlanta rapper to me. Little Joker, anyway. But yeah, I would see that. I would see any Joker, Little Joker. You could be Little Joker, Dan. I would see that.
We're gonna do the film, Little Joker. I'm riding in the back of a car. I'm laughing. I'm crying.
Play yourself.
What else you got? What else you got?
What's next, Vince?
Nah, well that's cool. Speaking of Joker and DC, a show that's out right now is on Max, based on the Gotham character Penguin, who I'm not sure if you all are familiar with.
Yeah.
Penguin was a kingpin to an extent in the city of Gotham, played by Colin Farrell, which he made his first appearance in the Batman movie, not Batman, but the Batman with Robert Pattinson. We call him Pattinson. And it's getting rave reviews. Have you guys had a chance to check it out, or have you heard anything about it?
I have not checked it out. I did watch some scenes from it just because I wanted to see the makeup, and it's extraordinary. And I'm a huge fan of practical effects like that. I think it's super cool. And Colin Farrell, it's one of the times where, like, I can remember, and you'll have to help me because this is nerd related, but Colin Farrell wasn't he in Daredevil the way?
Yeah, he was. He was Bullseye.
He was Bullseye. Okay, and I remember people telling me, I remember people telling me, God, I'm on the board. Thank you, Vince. But I remember people telling me, hey, have you seen Daredevil? Colin Farrell's really good as Bullseye. And I'm like, what? And people have told me how good. They're like, oh no, Colin Farrell's an excellent actor. Apparently this guy is like legitimately a phenomenal actor. What would you say?
I think that Colin Farrell is underrated. I think some of his antics as a younger actor did get him in trouble. He was a bit of a playboy. Yeah. A little bit of a little manosphere with him. But he did do well in Bullseye. The Daredevil sucked. Electra, it was a terrible movie. Ben Affleck won't even claim it, but he was all right. And this is his redemption. Yeah, you have to watch this. Penguin is going to win awards. I mark my words. You heard it here first on the Thomas Jan Show. Wow. The Penguin will win at least one Academy Award for Best Makeup. It may win Best Scenic Views. It may win Best Actor for this depiction. Colin Farrell is killing this role. And if you are somebody who's like, oh, well, I don't do comics, that's for kids, blah, blah, blah. If you like The Sopranos, all right? If you liked Godfather, okay, Goodfellas, this is basically DC's version of Sopranos, and it's doing really, really good.
So the Penguin is a mob boss, and is there any
penguins are ice?
Is there any homage to the actual Penguin backstory, which I don't even know? I only know it's Danny DeVito's Penguin.
Cobblepot, right? Isn't that his name?
Oswald Cobblepot.
Cobblepot.
I'm glad. Such a good question. So with regard to the backstory, you have multiple backstories depending on whether you get your source material from the comics or from the animated series, right? So if you're an animated series guy, then you want to see Oswald Cobblepot with the fish hands, right? He has 2 fins. He doesn't actually have 4 fingers. He has a deformed body in which he was born with flippers instead of hands, and he doesn't actually have 5 toes. That's not what this is. They do, however, give you his disability. He walks like this. He walks like a penguin. He kind of looks, they give him a nose to kind of look like a penguin. The story of Batman Returns, if you watch that, where Danny DeVito played Penguin, and he had to kind of finagle his way into the city's good graces by kind of showing that he had a sad story, not knowing his parents, Oswald, Mr. and Mrs. Cobblepot, growing up. That's not what this is. His mom is alive in this one, and it's more a rise from the top, from the bottom, as an underboss to a boss from the Penguin. So you don't look at Penguin as some Batman villain. You're like, who? This dude is oh my God, he's crazy. What's wrong with this dude? Oh, he's sweet. Oh my God, he's crazy. What is wrong? Yeah, he goes through so many different emotions. We haven't gotten any show like this from any kind of any kind of comic book source material ever. So this is like monumental, and I'm loving it, which is great because on the other side of that, Marvel is falling off of a cliff with their content.
I love your excitement about this, man. It makes me want to watch
Now,
it.
here's the most important question. Does he have a gun umbrella?
It's called a gunbrella, man.
Because if he doesn't have a gunbrella, I'm out again. Just like Lady Gaga.
I also believe
no monocle and you're out.
The original one, like the old cartoony one, the cornball one, I think he could use his. I think he could shoot people with his umbrella and fly with it.
Fly, yeah, he would fly off.
Because he's fat as hell, but he'd fly. He'd use his umbrella to fly away. I mean, I'll shoot you in your ass, mother ever.
I got you, Dick Clark, this time.
Yeah.
Nah, he hasn't gotten there yet. That might be for future episodes. Maybe he's working his way up to the gunbrella, but for right now, unfortunately, not on the third episode. We haven't seen that yet, but I'll keep my eyes open. Now, the point I was making was these are two DC projects that I just mentioned that there's fairly decent excitement for. After the reign of Deadpool, we're left with a show called Agatha All Along, which is currently streaming on Disney Plus.
Yep.
A lot of people like it. I hate it.
Okay, what are some of the reasons why you hate it? I've heard good things from people, and this is connected to WandaVision, right?
It is. And WandaVision, I still herald as Disney Plus's best Marvel show.
Yeah.
But this is a spinoff based on one of the main characters you say out of the WandaVision show, but it goes in a completely different direction. It's all about Wiccan and witches and things like that, but it's almost like a rehabilitation show for witches. Do y'all know witches? Do y'all have any friends witches? Do you gotta does one of your wives' friends sleep with a crystal under their pillow or something?
Like a Wiccan,
like
crazy white people. Yeah. I mean, we got.
White people love crystals. Yeah. I know. I have.
Your wife's name is Crystal.
Yeah. I have some crystal adjacent friends that are into.
Our wives aren't crystal people, but they know crystal people.
Yeah, the salt crystals, the energies, and all that nonsense.
Chakras, a lot of times.
They charge them in the moonlight, and they wait till like the blood moon.
Yeah, you got to charge. You got to put your hand on your heart center, charge it up, and then put it in your root.
Oh, is that what? Okay, and retro, and you know where you're in retrograde, and
your root is right between your legs, and then you need to apply the mantra, "I'm trying as hard as I can," and then take a deep breath with a loud, audible sigh.
The facial expression. Yes. That's kind of crazy for me. I'm not into it, and I just hope that it gets better. I'm going to keep watching, but I feel like DC is paving the way for the kind of content that we used to get from Marvel, unfortunately.
What's new for Marvel? Anything other than this?
Let me complain about just the character of a witch.
Okay.
Because I think it's...
Well, what kind of witch are we dealing with here?
Well, that's the problem. Because
there are super scary witches, but those are more like hags, like a swamp hag.
So I'll explain, because I have consumed a lot of Marvel movies with my sons. Like, I used to talk cash ass about...
You guys
Marvel
watch a lot
movies.
of fantasy. You watch Sweet Tooth. You made it all the way through that. That has some whimsical stuff.
Like Sweet Tooth?
But, he loves it.
But my sons have reinvigorated my like for the.
You went low on that.
the Marvel and the superhero, the fantasy, right? Because they like it.
My sons have reignited my being okay with.
So and all the other characters have specified powers where, like, for instance, if you go into the X-Men world, I know we're jumping around here, but X-Men is like, I know what we're getting with Wolverine. Yeah. He's got the bones, the healing power, and
the claws.
Adamantium claws.
He's strong.
And I know, and then I know what Cyclops has.
Yeah.
I know what
Keep
Rogue
those
does.
on, bitch.
Yeah. I know what the wheelchair guy does. I see it all has their thing.
Yeah.
So, but then when you get into witches, the problem is like, she's a witch. And then it's like, all right, well, that's their power is not clearly defined.
No, it's all over the place.
Because Wanda, all of a sudden, Wanda's got such an amazing superpower, and then you got Hocus Pocus, and one of them's got diabetes. And then it's like, what power she can fly around and barely scare people?
You can't fly around.
Make some potions.
There's no way that the red-haired one with the buck teeth, she ain't flying for nothing.
You're stewing up some fat kids,
what is that gonna do? You turn a toad into a human?
But then all of a sudden, Wanda's she is turning into ice fire and shooting out some crazy power.
She can change time.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, well,
we're trapped inside a different dimension.
Well, what powers? She's just doing some spells. I thought witches needed a cauldron, and then you bubble up a couple spells, but you're not shooting some insane.
Serious question. Which question?
Cannon power.
Do they have wands?
No, that's
they
a
don't
wizard.
Normally have wand. I guess
a witch doesn't have a
Wizard
wand.
of Oz.
A witch doesn't have a wand.
That's the thing.
I mean, well, look, y'all have more experience with witches than I do, but I just want to say, Tom is cooking right now. Like, I'm feeling the passion.
Well, he's mad.
He's
mad.
like
Well, he hates everything
universe.
around him, and you just gave him a portal to talk about.
Okay, so that's my problem with witches. It's not even clearly defined if they have a wand. Some don't.
That's
some
why I
do
asked.
have.
Yeah, I know.
Some are Wanda with
Some only
ultimate
get powers when they have a blood moon.
Yeah.
I'm a blood moon witch.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
what does that mean?
Yeah, and then some witches barely do anything.
And
Right?
don't even get me started on warlocks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, don't even, wow. Yeah, listen.
What's your
I'm
opinion
right
on
here with
warlocks?
you. Tom, warlocks, the whole definition of warlock
It
versus
needs to be
witch,
defined.
originally witch was a woman and a warlock was a man witch, but then they changed that so that there's witches and they're also, depending on which lore you read.
Correct.
But I got to say, I'm 100% in agreement with Tommy. Tom, I got to stop. People like, yo, his name's Tommy.
No, bully him. Call him Tommy. It keeps him young. It keeps him young.
No, Vince knew me as Tommy.
You're allowed.
Me and Vince worked
I'm
together.
not allowed to call you Tommy.
And
somebody hit me in the inbox. They was like, "It's hilarious that you're calling you Tommy." I was like, I didn't think it was hilarious.
It keeps
I
him young.
really called him
Yeah,
Tommy.
well, me and Vince were, stacking Air Force Ones in the back.
Nike shots for the British.
By the way,
but yeah,
Vince,
man,
could you imagine? We should have stolen a lot more, even though we didn't.
we didn't.
Y'all could have been the sneaker kings of Orlando.
If we would have just, because easily they trusted me to
They trusted me.
Well, our managers.
I'm a white guy.
I know managers and they're racist, and they're like, I trust the white one, and he'll keep the black one under control. But what they don't know is that
You're the worst one.
Yeah, I'm like, let's steal Vince, and Vince like, nah. I'm like, come on, we can do it. Anyway, we could have
because they're going to blame Vince. That's not fair to him.
And it's the truth. It did happen, literally. They accused me of stealing Jordans, and this was a time when I'd never had a.
We were joking.
I was like 40. You know what I'm saying? And so it was so crazy. They was accusing me of stealing. I generated such a high sales. Don't get me. Tommy.
It's only funny. It's only funny until we realize it's real.
Well, when there's missing Jordans around and it's me and Vince in the back room, they're like, it's that guy.
And Tom is in plain clothes. Like, he's like a plain clothes officer. Like, he doesn't even come in a uniform. You know what I'm saying? I got on this stupid ass sweaty blue and red champs. I'm sweating walking around the food court, and he's coming in like jeans and a backwards hat. You know what I'm saying? The radio on, cigarette.
The Dolphins hat and a pack of cigarettes.
I hated wearing the stupid uniform. I'm like, what? We're in the back. What the hell do we have to wear a uniform for? I'm stacking these shoes. I'm trying to figure out ways to steal them. Leave me alone. And they did. Anyway, so back to
nerd stuff.
Yeah.
We're nerding right now.
I hate witches.
Okay.
It's too broad.
What else
Let me
you
build
got?
on that a little bit real quick, because I'm sure we got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Well, you can keep going.
Okay, cool. But the fact that you have that issue with witches and I have the same issue is indicative of the fact that this may be a problem with Marvel not having enough material to go off of. But I want to pause that for a second and say that 2 of their most recent projects did involve a witch that was actually relatable, was cool to follow, and that was, I'm speaking about the Scarlet Witch, also known as Wanda Maximoff, and she is a witch that I could, I almost cursed, a witch that I can mess with. You know what I'm saying? She's a witch that, like, she held a whole town hostage because she couldn't get over her dead robot boyfriend. And that is so dope to me. Like, that Marvel witch, that's dark.
Yeah.
That's dark, bro. Like, she would go out of her house and her neighbors would be like, hey, Wanda. And they didn't know that they were hypnotized for months, just because she couldn't cope with the fact that her boyfriend was killed by Thanos in Endgame.
Yeah.
Endgame. In the Infinity War. So I like that aspect of I don't like when it comes to powers, when we're mixing X-Men and witches, because now we've got magic versus brawn, like adamantium steel and telekinetic energy and telepower and telepathy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of magic. It's inexplicable energy. However, Wanda, that's one witch that I could get around.
Yeah.
That's it though. Not Agatha. This Agatha thing is annoying. They're on a road to redemption for witches. If you watch this show, you hear them saying things like, oh, you're the one that makes everybody think that we eat toads and have horns on our nose and we're all green and ride brooms. Like, yes, that's what witch lore is. Like, they're trying to make it so that witches now have a good reputation or like rehabilitated, and it's annoying.
It's like changing fantasy.
You put Hansel and Gretel in the freaking oven. Like, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Who is going for the witch vote right now? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, both sides are. They need it. They need it.
Well, Vince, you brought up another thing I want to bitch about, which is Vision.
Yes, let's do it.
So he has the ability to hide the Infinity Stone that's in his forehead. Because he can go and transform or whatever.
Yeah.
But I always felt like when you took the form of the Infinity Stone on your forehead, you're kind of taunting your enemies. Like, hey, the only thing keeping me alive is this thing stuck in my forehead. and it's like, why not hide that? And it's like, hey,
where would you put it?
Hey, that guy with the Infinity Stone in his forehead. I bet if we take it out, that'll kill him. It's like, why not hide it a little bit?
Where would you put it?
I don't know. Just anywhere. I mean, you know where.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I was thinking.
When you're in Vietnam.
We all know where.
When you're trying to sneak the watch out of Vietnam, you know where you have to put it. You don't glue it to your forehead so the Viet Cong can be like, well, I'm going to take that watch. It's obviously important to him. He's got it glued to his forehead. You hide it. So I'm just saying Vision should have keistered the Infinity Stone.
Melissa saying butt cheek. No, that would hurt when you sit down. It's like sitting on your wallet. That's crazy. Get out of here, Melissa.
No, sorry.
We all have our own element of freak, okay? And if I'd rather have an infinity plug than an infinity stone,
no one would ever find it.
And can you imagine the power that would generate?
Oh my God! Look at the afterburner on that thing. I'd be flying like crazy, man, to the moon.
Wow! You just sit down to poop, and you're in another dimension. Like anyway,
boom.
So that's a whole other thing, man. But yeah, I think that's a good critique of Vision.
All right.
I mean, but can we just admit the fact that it's creepy that one of the most powerful Marvel characters' husband was essentially I don't know if we can say these words, was essentially an adult toy because he was not human. All right. He was a complete.
Oh, right. Yeah. He wasn't real.
He's was made by Tony Stark. All right. He's a combination of Ultron and Jarvis. He's not real. He's AI. And she's madly in love with him.
Yeah.
And that is problematic. Nobody's going to talk about this. Nobody's gonna talk about his chick is literally married to a He-Man doll.
No, they won't.
And she can't get over it.
That's the. You know I'm sure somebody out there's complaining about it.
Also, you know what I hated about that too is like you're right. He was created, and this Vision should act like some sort of robot with no the human feelings or whatever, but he still did nice things.
It was the exact opposite.
Hey, then my wife watched it.
Look bad.
Yes, and then my wife is like, see, even Vision hugs his wife every once in a while, and I'm like, well, this is unrealistic.
You have to practice it. It's reps. You have to put reminders in your phone for anniversaries. Sometimes just do nice things. Publix had BOGO flowers.
Yeah. Well, if Vision's just telling himself, like, hey, put your arm around Wanda every once in a while. Like, she can't see through that.
I brought flowers because I wanted an oil job.
An oil job.
I don't know what that is. Can't repeat it.
We don't have built-in algorithms, man. So, yeah. We sorry, wives, but we cannot be fictitious androids that are able to detect what needs to be done in advance. This is not.
Yeah. Are there any movies that you're looking forward to that are coming around? Like, is there anything you are looking forward to right now, or like what's coming up?
Honestly, in the next couple of months, not necessarily, but there is a project that I have done a complete 180 on that's coming up this December, and that is a movie called Kraven the Hunter. Now, originally, I was completely against the notion of releasing a Kraven the Hunter movie because Kraven the Hunter is a Spider-Man character.
Yeah.
He's a gentleman. He Kraven, I think it's Krav. I can't remember his actual name, but he's basically a guy who develops superhuman, super animal-like senses, and he's able to like basically hunt, and he starts to get the thrill of the hunt. If you played the Spider-Man 2 game, he was a big part of that. So Aaron Taylor Boone, who also was the star of Kick-Ass, also was Quicksilver in Avengers Ultron. He also, I think, played a couple other things recently. But yeah, he's going to be playing Kraven. And at first I was like, who asked for this? Right. Nobody's asking for Kraven. Stop giving us Morbius. Stop giving us Madam Web. Stop giving us. But then I saw the previews. And I have a completely different.
What changed your mind? What would you say changed your mind? It
is rated R.
Oh.
And it is uber violent.
Yeah.
The previews are violent. Like, we're talking about snapping of arms backwards. We're talking about stabbing in eyeballs.
Okay.
The type of stuff we love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The stuff that brings American families together.
Right.
And I have a different feeling about it now.
That's
because
interesting.
I'm a little against, like Tom said earlier, like the whitewashing of a villain's past and kind of making them, they were bullied, so they're justified in hating everybody. That doesn't feel like what this is. This is a villain, but they're giving us a key into not only how he became who he is, but why he is what he is. And he's not necessarily a villain. He's a anti-hero in that he's against certain people, but not like just a maniacal, I want to conquer the world type.
Gotcha.
So I'm very much looking forward to this, but it doesn't come out till like this December.
Okay.
And this is a direct result in the popularity of Deadpool and it being rated R, and like the popularity of the Boys series.
Yeah, well, yeah,
and like
Invincible, they're all like uber violent.
And because they're looking at a demographic of all these middle-aged humans grew up with these characters, and now they're all adults and they want to see adult versions of this, and they don't want it to be such kid-centric as it was. Like, now we're all old and we want to see these same characters do violence and rated R things.
Well, I think it's deeper than that. I don't think it's just being a kid and then wanting to see an adult version of your kid interests. I think just being a kid and seeing some of your adult. Y'all still see me? I got a call coming in, but
yeah, we got you.
Your adult interest is just is a jam. Barbie, same thing. No violence, but people wanting to relive through their childhood stuff is a thing right now. I just think that it's better that the industry now realizes that the kids that wanted to see those movies 20 years ago are adults. So don't give us a kid version in an adult movie. You know what I'm saying? Which I think is what Agatha is. So that's why I'm looking at Kraven the Hunter like, whoa, okay. You got my attention. Just like Spawn. Spawn's coming out. They haven't finished it yet, but Jamie Foxx is slated to play Spawn. Rated R. It's supposed to be really dope. This is what we want to see in our comics. Keep in mind, one of the reasons we love comics when we was coming up is because we were reading and looking at stuff we didn't think we were supposed to. When you open up that top that fallen Spawn and you saw Spawn use the chains from his chest to rip off the head of a demon, you know your mama didn't want you seeing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, you want to see that when you get older.
Yeah.
Don't show us a PG-13 version when we read the rated R version.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I'm looking forward to this. So yeah.
Yeah, the Spawn thing, are we still worried? And I know we got limited time, but are we still worried about I'm not, personally, because I'm a fan of Spawn, so I'm almost at a point where I'll take what I can get. But are we worried about Jamie Foxx's age, how he'll look and how he'll act? Now, obviously, I'm not worried about how he's going to act. He's an incredible actor. So where do you stand on it? What do you think?
This is such a good question, and believe it or not, my compadre is on the new Blurred Order, which is on YouTube. If you guys are interested.
Please like and subscribe Vince's show with his buddies.
Subscribe, join us. We do live every Saturday, but we're all about the back play. But yeah, we actually had a heated debate over this on the podcast 2 weeks ago, where I was in the camp of we don't need a Jamie Foxx Spawn. I thought that Jamie Foxx, as much as I love him, I still stand by the fact that I think Jamie Foxx is the most talented comedian of our time, period. No buts, ands about it. And I mean that because I say he's not just a comedian, but also he's a platinum award winning singer. He also won an Academy Award for Ray. I mean, the dude is in all three categories. He's Derner an EGOT or an EGOT since he's black, and I'm just so I think that he's too old for Spawn, not because he's incapable of doing it, but because I want the franchise to develop over the course of the next half a dozen to a dozen years.
That was kind of my thought, is that he's only too old because he'll run out of time. Dude, we're on the same page. I almost I want him to do it, but I want him to do it 15 years ago.
Right, exactly.
And
literally, like I'm like, yo, I have nothing against. I love Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
but
he's the best.
I also love Spawn, and I want Spawn to be around the same way Spider-Man was, where there's 2 or 3 sequels, and I just fear for a 65-year-old Jamie Foxx shooting Spawn 3. That's all. Like I'm looking forward.
But here's the part that sucks is that I know that in thinking about the scenes of Jamie Foxx having to, because you need a really good actor to show the. Let me see if I can say this right. You need a really good actor to show that weirdness of I'm doing things, and as I do things, this time is ticking away, and also seeing your wife, but she's not your wife any longer. And I think you need a dramatic actor. You need somebody that has the chops, like a Ray chops, to portray that love between, because that was all part of the comic book, was that Spawn was doing all these things, and he was tortured, and he was having to watch his wife live out her life with a new lover and with a new family.
With his best friend.
Well, I wasn't going to spoil it for people that didn't know, but yeah, with his best friend. Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's in the comic.
And but Jamie Foxx can pull that off because you'll know he'll do the sad stuff the way it needs to be done. So, I don't know.
Man. But honestly, though, Dan, I think that Jamie Foxx is a phenomenal actor, but I think there's also a lot of other younger, newer up-and-coming actors that can handle it. That
who would you pick?
Could use this role as an entryway to stardom, whereas Jamie Foxx is already established.
Yeah.
I think it would be wise to consider the future of this franchise. And as much as I think that the name recognition of Jamie Foxx is going to bring butts to the seats, I just worry a little bit about the longevity of the project. So,
yeah. Do you have someone you would pick other than Jamie Foxx? Somebody new, somebody young, somebody that you admire?
Yeah. I like
Like Vince Taylor, we could nominate Vince Taylor.
Nah, I don't do the acting. I'll do a scene where I don't know, I rob somebody and go back to the background, but I don't want to be the main. Okay. I'm too critical. I would not be able to watch. But I will say this: the young man, Mr. Idris, that plays in his show called Snowfall.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man, but I get the sense that he might have been able to play. There's him and a couple other actors that I don't know if we're as familiar with, and frankly, I'm still learning them because I don't even know their names by heart. But
just know you would have been okay.
Did you see that movie Bird Box with Sandra Bullock?
Yeah.
There was a young black man in that project that I thought they gave a stellar performance, and I think he deserves to get some more acting chances. So,
or what about going a little outside the norm with comedian Lavelle Crawford?
I love Lavelle.
As he plays slow Spawn.
Yeah. He's like,
what a demon that goes on.
Yeah, I watched the video. He's looking around. He's like, this is real sad looking through this window at my wife with my best friend, man.
I don't know what's going on.
He's all mad.
You was an ugly dude.
Or how about super skinny Spawn? Super skinny Spawn, Michael Blackson.
Hey, demon of soccer. Hey, you come over here and the demon over here, mother soccer.
That would be a funny Spawn.
Lunel. What about Lunel?
Oh my God! Don't go googling her penthouse pictures. I did that.
Vince,
stab your eyes out.
What happened to Jamie Foxx? What was his illness?
Nobody knows.
It like people were like, oh, he's on his deathbed. He had a stroke, and then all of a sudden he's like back. And nothing's wrong with him. And no one knows. So does anybody know?
Yeah, 3 words. The Illuminati got to him, homeboy. Yeah. That's what it is.
Is that what you think?
We know Jamie Foxx is no longer Jamie Foxx with 2 X's is 3 because he's a clone.
Oh, yeah. I heard Diddy swapped him out for a clone.
Diddy, he was at one of the parties, bro. It was a freak off.
I mean, he's old enough to have been there when Diddy was born. I don't know.
He was OG.
He's been in Hollywood his entire forever.
So remember when Mike Tyson started he slipped up and said he had a stroke, and then everybody's like, "Oh, Mike Tyson said the truth," and then all of a sudden he's out, and then there's no sign of nothing.
No.
And and then everybody's like, oh, okay, back to normal.
Mind your business.
It's worse than that. He came out and he was a different shade of black. He had freckles. he had moles in places we hadn't seen them before. We don't know, man. This might be literally some old mind swap, body swap, some old.
Oh my God!
Hold on, he's got freckles.
Look at the pictures. Look at the before and afters. Is all I'm saying.
And he doesn't want to be called Jamie anymore. He's Jaime.
And I'm starting to believe that Jamie Foxx may not be who he says he is.
No, he's not Jamie anymore. He's Jaime Fox 3 X's. He goes by Jaime now.
Oh, I'm with it.
Vince, we love you, buddy. Hey, thanks for doing this, man. And for let's plug. Do you got anything to plug? You got any shows coming up anytime soon, or places people can see?
I will be. Oh man, I had this ready. Shoot, because I knew you was gonna ask me this. I will be in Melbourne this weekend. For those of you all who are in the Melbourne area, at a place called Pineapples. Excuse me, the Moon.
Hold on, it's called the Moon.
Hold on, if it's Pineapples, it's all white people, and they're swingers. They're all swingers.
Oh yeah, the Moon Room in Melbourne this weekend. This Saturday night, I will be at the Moon Room in Melbourne. Tomorrow night, I will be at the Laugh-In Comedy, the Snappers. I'm sorry, it's now the Snappers in Fort Myers. And then this Friday is a private show, but I will talk about it on my show this Saturday on the New Blurred Order on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And shout out to my kickball team that finally scored 3 runs last night, even though we lost by 20 runs.
Congratulations, you're on the board. See, this guy plays intramural sports. This man's having fun.
Now, from what I know about kickball teams, it's a lot of
Fatos?
No, I wouldn't go that far. I'm just saying maybe unathletic,
Vince is an athlete,
middle-aged white people. And then I feel like if I'm picking teams, I'm like that guy right there. The same guy I thought stole the Jordans, and I want him on my kickball team.
Now, Vince, is it you and a bunch of guys that love craft beer?
Basically, yeah. Well, I mean, there's some younger folks as well, but the age is a little mid-40s and adolescent. A millennial when all of the playlist songs are like Usher, Lil Jon, Eastside Boys, everything they're playing is like from our.
Hey, when you play me up apple bottom jeans. Play me apple bottom jeans.
I want to come up to bottoms up.
But Vince, when you get out there, I mean, you're an athlete. You kick that MF out. You kick it out of the park
to the Moon Room
on the way out. Go ahead, sorry, bro.
No, I'm just like you. I mean, how tall are you? You're 6'2", if you're anything, right?
We told me that.
Yeah, and that's the common misconception I get is because of my height and because of my melanin that I'm athletic and I'm a reader.
I'm a reader.
Yeah, but hold on.
I'm a reader. New Blurred Order.
I don't necessarily. I did, but it is. I'm 6'2", and I do go out there and do my little thug thizzle, but. It's just a social activity. It's fun. We're out there in Winter Park by Rollins.
But he's competitive. Tom's super competitive.
Yeah, but I know you like books and you like nerd ass, but you just your body. I mean, it can juke someone out.
You can hurt some of those people.
Your legs, you can kick, and you're running to first base faster
love to
than.
See you beam some mom right in her gut with a boom.
Yeah.
Bro, I hit somebody out at first base. That's what I love about kickball is you can use it's dodgeball between the bases.
You can hit them, man. Boom! It makes that noise. It goes like this. It goes boom.
We gotta talk about that next time, bro. I got so much to talk about with the kickball stuff.
All right, man. Okay. Vince, we love you, buddy. Be good.
See you, Vince.
Man. Thanks, guys. Appreciate Tom and Dan.
Have a good rest of your day, buddy. That is Vince Taylor from his Nerd Cave.
Although I remember my buddy, the Grizz, like part of his, like he went over to Africa a bunch of, that's where he met his wife.
Who does he think he is going to Africa?
He was stationed out there and then
A1 bullet stopper.
Part of his like training out there were to like train villagers and
on how to play kickball.
No, like to like defend themselves during attacks from like militant forces.
That's good. That's good.
And he told me, he's like, dude, some of these villagers they are built and have the same body as like Adrian Peterson. These guys are jacked and insane genetics or whatever.
This is a Billy Crystal movie.
But they didn't never train to fight, and so he's like, dude, you could push them over. Like they have no fighting skills. Like so, like it's ridiculous how, like, you think, like, oh, this guy will, I mean, annihilate me in a fight.
Underutilized.
But they've never been trained, so they were non-violent. So, like, even training them how to use weapons and to fight, it was, like, totally outside of it. So it's like, sometimes I guess you could have an athletic body, but or the opposite of EJ.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, this guy can't do nothing. And all of a sudden, he's swimming fast.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
Anyway.
We got to get out of here.
All right, we'll see you in a minute.